All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Fizzer, and if you don't know, I'm the creator of WarLight. I'm here today to answer your questions and go over everything that came up, everything that was updated in WarLight 2 days ago. I hope you're all doing well today. It's good to see y'all that showed up today for the stream. We're going to do some giveaways later. So you there in the stream will appreciate that. So first, I want to talk about the update. So 2 days ago, there was an update to WarLight. This update was called 3.13, and we added a bunch of stuff and improved a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to go over those. The first thing I'm going to talk about is that there's a new AI. So this is something that we've been working on for a long time. So in the single player part of the game, when you play these levels, you play against the AI, of course. Now these 6 levels have not been changed, and the main reason for that is we want these 6 levels to continue to use the old AI because they were all balanced against the old AI. But when you click on custom game or when you play in multiplayer and you get an AI through those, you get the new AI. So the new AI is a lot smarter. It has much more sophisticated algorithms in determining where to attack, defend, and stuff. And so that's cool. So I can show it off. If you just go to custom game and create a game, you'll get the new AI. It's kind of hard to show off on stream just because it's an AI. You just see orders it makes. There's one. The easiest way to see this new AI is this new autopilot feature. So if you're a member, you'll get this button right here called autopilot. And what this does is this allows you to let one of these AIs enter orders for you. So we have 5 AIs. So Prod 1.0 is the old AI that's currently powering the 6 single player levels, and it's the same AI that played all the AIs prior to this update. The new one, we just call it 2.0. And there's 2 versions of it. There's one version that doesn't use any randomness, and there's another version that allows randomness to influence its actions. So like if I go to Prod 2.0 and I click run, autopilot will actually use that AI, look at my position on the board, and enter orders for me. So you can see what it decided to do. It decided mostly to focus on, well, it's basically expanding in all the borders, but it deployed in Ethiopia and Cambodia. So yeah, it decided to focus on Africa. That's what it decided to do here. You can run the first old version and see what it did. You can see it's drastically worse. It's not even expanding in most of these places, and it's just expanding in Scandinavia. One of the neat things about the autopilot is you can run it over and over and over and just kind of see how the AI changes based on randomness, because the old AI definitely used randomness. You can see it's kind of making some stupid decisions. It deploys in Ethiopia. I don't know why it's doing that. So the Prod 2.0 should always make the same orders every time. Prod 2.0 with randomness, however, should be influenced by randomness. You can see it is a little bit up here. It's switching back and forth. But yeah, it's switching quite a little bit here and there. So there's also these other AIs that were written by players. These were both written for an AI competition. These are available too. In some ways they're better, in some ways they're worse. They don't support all the settings, but they're there to play with. So, oh, and I think I forgot to say. First, I'm going to go over all the updates to WarLight, and then I'll get to your questions. So, chat here. I'm not going to read it right now. Once I get over all the updates, I'll go back and start answering your questions, so you can think about what you're going to ask me. Another thing I want to mention about this AI, and this is actually something I forgot to mention in the blog post if you've already read that, all of these AIs actually obey fog. So when you run, both in the autopilot and when you play against them, either in single player or multiplayer, they all basically don't have any additional information that the player doesn't. That actually was not true prior to this update. Prior to this update, when we only had the Prod 1.0 AI, it actually had the ability to cheat. It actually got the entire unfogged board to determine its AIs, or determine its orders. And that was actually a bug that we got fixed. Well, it's kind of a bug. It was more of a limitation. So now all of the AIs, including Prod 1.0, get a fogged board. Basically, fog is applied before they have a chance to make their orders. So Prod 1.0 actually got a little worse in this update as well because of that. Although, I mean, it didn't take a huge amount of advantage of the entire unfogged board. It mostly only looked at territories that it was adjacent to anyway. So it didn't affect it too much, but it got tiniest bit worse. Over time, I suspect that we'll basically stop using the 1.0 version. The 2.0 version is better in pretty much every way, except that it's maybe a little bit slower, and we're going to work on making it faster. 2.0 also has the ability to play some additional cards, whereas Prod 1.0, the only card it knows how to play is the reinforcement card. 2.0 can also play diplomacy cards, bomb cards, blockade cards, and sanction cards, I believe is the list. I happened to glance at chat. Does the AI work in complete fog? Yes, it does. So, whereas before this update, the AI actually always was able to see through fog. The new AIs, now they play with whatever fog level the game is set to. So if you put them in a complete fog game, they will probably just fumble around randomly. I don't know what they'll do. They'll probably be pretty stupid. Let's try it. We can do it really easily. If we just go to complete fog and create that, let's see what the autopilot does. I really don't know. I actually haven't experimented with this. It doesn't attack at all. Well, that's bad. It doesn't even know what to do. It's so confused by the fact that there's fog everywhere. It's just staying put. So the autopilot, the other thing I didn't mention is there's two buttons down here. There's run and there's run and commit. In single player, this button's really cool because you can actually just play an entire game out just by clicking this over and over. And you can see the AI is just not moving. It really wants to take West China. So this is definitely something we can improve. Another thing I'll mention is that the AI is a work in progress. We want to improve it over time, at least for the next few months. Eventually, it'll probably become stagnant, and that's by design because we're balancing single-player levels against it. So you don't really want it to improve over time. Otherwise, it changes the balance of all the single-player levels that were created. But for now, we are going to plan on making some improvements, so maybe I'll fix this so it actually attacks in complete fog. Because, otherwise this game's probably never going to finish. Because I suspect all the other AIs are doing the same thing. Let's see if Wonderwaff... Oh, Wonderwaff won't even run. What does Kaozao do? Oop, that doesn't even work. Okay. Some of the Wonderwaff and Kaozao definitely have some bugs in them. Sometimes they'll crash or time out because they're slower. Those are player made, so they're definitely not as stable. So that's the AI. Let's see, what else didn't I mention about the AI? So another thing we added, so I'll talk about this update in a whole. So if you've watched the previous AMAs, you'll know that the current thing we're working on is we are overhauling the single player part of WarLight, which is badly needed because this thing was all designed like back in 2008, maybe the early 2009, and single player hasn't gotten much love since then. It's drastically out of date. I mean, when these 6 levels were made, well, there's 7 levels now if you count the tutorial. When these levels were made, WarLight only had like 10 maps, and it didn't have very many cards or settings to choose from. I think it only had the reinforcement and abandon cards, which is now called the emergency blockade card. Those are the only cards that existed, so those are the only cards that these levels use. And you can see the maps. It only uses the Earth and Double Earth and Europe maps. So it's kind of lame. Today, WarLight is much broader. We have over 1,000 maps and 13 types of cards and all sorts of settings and stuff we can take advantage of. But none of these single-player levels take advantage of that, and of course that's just because they're old. They're designed a long time ago. So we're going to be updating these levels and doing a lot more in single-player. I'll talk about custom levels soon, which has been started to be introduced. So this update is basically the first part of the single-player overhaul. This is not the entire thing. We're going to be doing more. In the next update, even more will be changed in single-player. And it could even be 2 more updates before it's completely done. Well, in reality, it'll probably be more like 3 or 4, but 2 more major ones. So the other thing, in addition to changing these levels, which is going to be coming in a future update, we are also allowing for custom-made levels. And we've launched the very first part of that already now. If you click on this My Levels link, you'll be able to make your own level. And I'll delete this test one I made. And you can create a level yourself. And basically the way it works, You create a level, and I mistyped live stream. Create a level, and then you can click this edit template button, and that allows you to basically define everything as part of your level, so you can, customize it however you want. Maybe you want a team game, a 1-on-3, maybe 1-on-2 is more fair. You can set it up on whatever map you want, like that one. You can set up like a custom scenario where you can say the player starts here and the AIs start here and here, or whatever you want to do. And then you can just save it and play it, and it's as easy as that. You now are playing the level, and I meant for the player to start up there. Oh, so the slots, I meant for the player to be player A, and the AIs to be B and C. And then you can just play your level. And simple enough. If you want, you can, of course, you can change any of WarLight settings. You can change the cards. You can change all the armies, override bonuses, set up how it starts, any map, stuff like that. And our long-term vision for this, let me talk more about. So then if you go back to my levels, you see the level here. Another thing you can do is you can override the names of the AIs. So you can say like this guy is B guy, and he is hot pink. And there you go. So see this guy, this AI now has a special name, and he's hot pink. So you can control the names and colors of the AIs. So I know some people will want to use this to set up like historical recreations. Like I'm sure some people will be interested in making like World War II maps where you have like Germany and Italy or whatever on teams. Some people will want to make challenge levels where you try to make a level that's as hard as you can possibly make it while it's still being beatable. So there's all sorts of things you can do with this. For now, the only way you can share levels is this play link. So if you right click on this and say copy link address, you can actually share this link with other people and they'll be able to play your level. That's basically just a V1 feature because we just launched this in beta. In the final version, I can share more about what we're thinking about, where this is going to go. So in the final version, there will be a publish link here. We'll be able to click publish. And what that will do is that'll make the level available so that anyone can play it. And it will show up somewhere. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to show up to other people. But one of the key things is in order to publish a level, you have to be able to beat it yourself. And the reason we have that rule there is because we want to make sure every level that gets published is actually beatable. So the way the process will work is you click publish, and then you'll have to do some sort of qualifying match where it asks you to play the level, and you beat it yourself. And once you beat it, then it becomes published and becomes public, and anyone can see it. And what I really want to do, and I don't want to promise this, but what I would really like to see is I'd like to see the ability for level creators to see stats about who's playing their level, how many people have played it, what the win percentage is. And I'd even like to be able to have a leaderboard so you can see like who has the top score on that level. And I want the level creator to even be able to watch the save file. Because we have this nice history feature in WarLight, we could make it so you can actually go into history and watch somebody play your level turn by turn and see how they beat it, which I think would be a really cool thing. If you publish a level, you want to watch people play it. I know there's going to be a lot of people trying to make competitive levels. There's going to be, I suspect there's going to be a whole game around people trying to make levels that can't be beaten by anyone else other than themselves. And another thing is there's going to be pride in people that create a level or that are able to beat a level that no one else has ever beaten. So I think there's going to be a lot of fun things we can do there in single player. More of that will be coming in future updates, as I said. Another thing we changed is we completely overhauled the way saved games work. So in the old version, prior to this update, there was a saved games menu button here, and it really sucked. It was really hard to use. It was bug prone. It didn't work for some people, and there was a lot of problems with it. And it was, people didn't find it as well because it was really unintuitive. When you start a level, you had to go up to a tab and then to save it, and then to get back, there's like a special recall button which overlapped the Twitch thing. There was so many problems with that system. I'm glad to say now that it's all basically seamless. So the way it works now is whenever you start a level, it just automatically saves it. Basically, you don't have to do anything. Your level is just always saved. You never have to worry about accidentally losing progress. Because another thing we'd see happen a lot in playtesting is someone would start playing a single player level of WarLight and they would accidentally hit back, either by the backspace button on the keyboard or the back button on their mouse. Those things are really easy to hit. And if you accidentally click back in the old version of WarLight, well, your game was just gone. You'd have to start over. But in the new version of WarLight, if you accidentally leave single player and then you come back, the other thing that happened is they click some link up here or sign in or something. Click on level 1, it simply asks you, do you want to resume your previous game? And I have to just say yes, and there you go. You're right back where you were. I didn't lose any progress. So saving games is much more seamless now. It just works, hopefully. Okay, let's see. I don't want to fall too far behind on chat. When is my suspend over? I want to play diplomacy games and games. I don't know. If you're suspended, if you log in, it should tell you when it's over. Do you have plans for adding diplomacy? Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is, I know a lot of the questions I'm going to get during this live stream are feature requests, like people want to add diplomacy options, such as diplomatic relations with other players, number of population, each private system and player's country. So WarLight has a forum on user voice. If you go to help, click this link, how do you submit feedback, there's a link to this user voice forum. And on here you can submit any feature requests you'd like to have, you'd like to see in WarLight. And this is the main place I go to understand what people are asking for. So our ALF 22 asks about diplomacy games. That's actually the #1 voted feature. Well, at least I see that as being very similar to peace treaties. That's part of what he asked for. Diplomacy option, diplomatic relations, yeah, peace treaties. So I understand that's a very popular request. That is something I do hope to get to sometime. It's not something I'm working on right now. As I said before, right now I'm working on single player. But it's definitely something I want to get to someday, as well as a lot of the other things on this list. So if you have questions like this, a lot of times when I get feature requests, I'm just going to say, go vote for it on user voice or add it if it doesn't exist. And that will help me prioritize correctly. What will be the next seasonal ladder? I don't know for sure yet. I think we'll do something with Commander. Commander is the new feature that was just added fairly recently, and the previous season used the Commander as well. I think there's more to explore in the Commander. There's a lot more that can be done with it. So I'd like to explore some more with that. You can't beat tutorial in fewer than 6 turns, right? Then what's up with the 3-turn achievement? There actually is a way to beat the tutorial in 3 turns, sort of, but it's kind of, there's a trick to it. You can search on the forums if you really can't figure it out, but I won't spoil it on the live stream. Okay, so Fleece Master asked, how is this different to single-player custom scenarios? This may not be exactly what you're asking. You might be asking how are single players different from simply using templates. So the main reason, you're right, they're similar. So if you click on custom game under single player and you go through here, you get kind of a template builder where you can kind of do the same thing I was doing before in levels, where you can select any map and set up your cards and whatever. You can save this as a template and create a test game this way. So it's similar, but the main thing that helps you with levels is you can actually share it with other players. There's this play link. Now with templates, you can share a link to the template, but it still doesn't bring them directly into the level. It just gives them like that create menu, and they have to go create the game. So this is a little more direct. This one also lets you, as I mentioned before, you can set up the name and colors of the AIs. So that's another difference. And the bigger difference is going forward, these are going to be able to be published, whereas you'll never be able to publish a template. Make coin games in pair 2v2, 3v3. What do you think about this? That is something we've talked about. So coin games, if you're new to WarLight and you don't know what that is, coin games is the ability to play games for money. So you can come in here and this entry fee these games have like an entry fee of 80 coins, prize of 256 coins. So each coin is basically worth 1 US penny. So this basically costs 80 cents to join and you win 256 cents or $2.56. So he's Fizzer 7 is asking for team games. That is something we've talked about. And I think one of the problems is setting up team games is kind of difficult on WarLight, at least in terms of open games, because a lot of times what happens is a team of two people that know each other will go in and join as one team, and then they'll just put it up as open games and two randoms join the other team. And it ends up not being very fair. Almost always, the people that know each other and are used to working together are going to beat two random people that just met and joined an open game. So it ends up not being very fair. And what happens, I think what would happen if we just launched it that way into coins. So I should back up. That's the way it works today in multiplayer. So today we don't allow team games under coins. But if you just go to multiplayer, I'm sure there's some 2v2. Like this game, I would bet these two people know each other and they're just waiting for random people to join the other team. Probably here too. These three people know each other and they're just waiting for 3 random people to join this game. That's a common tactic that's used, and it tends to be problematic because the 3 random people don't stand much of a chance because they're not used to working with each other, and whereas the 3 people are probably organized. And if we did that on coin games, it would be kind of a slaughter fest. The people that are working together would pretty much always win. And I think we need a better way of handling that. Like, I think you would want you to join as a team. So I think it would be better to make a team first and then join the 2v2 as a team. That's how I would envision coin team games. But that's not built yet. So someday maybe we'll build that. But it's not something we're looking at right now. Our mark on the tournament page could be a good idea if you see the tournaments page, whether you're still in a certain tournament or whether you are eliminated. Could it be a good idea if you could see on the tournament page whether, yeah, I see what you're saying. You're saying you want to, on this page, see whether you're in it or eliminated. Yeah, I agree. That's definitely something that would be great to have on this page. I'm behind on my invites. But like on this tournament, it doesn't tell me right here whether I'm still in it or whether I'm eliminated. It just tells me that it's in progress, that there's unread chat. I agree. That's definitely something that should be here. Again, it's just prioritization. You can vote for it on user voice, and hopefully we get to it someday. I hope we can name people in custom scenarios too. Eventually, that would be cool. I don't know what you mean by that. You want to name people in multiplayer games? In single-player games? I'm not sure what you mean. Because in single-player games you can. That's what we just added. But in multiplayer games, you can't name other people. I'm on tablet. Can I upload money for coins? You can, but not through the app. You have to actually open your browser and go to warlight.net and click on coins. And then you click on deposit, and you can buy coins right there. And then once you buy the coins, you can use them in the app. You just can't. You just have to go to the website to get them. Is it black for everyone? I hope not. It might just be that I'm so far behind on chat. When will we have Turkey local deployments? What changed the new ladder template? Okay, so I know a lot of people have asked me about ladder polls, and I'm going to announce right now, ladder polls are going to be coming this week, hopefully. Next week at the latest. At least the start of it. So there will be a 2-phase. The first phase will be I'll be asking for templates and that people want to see in the real-time ladder or any ladder. So if you can come up with a list of templates you'd like to see, especially in the real-time ladder, because it has 10 templates. So it's the one that's the primary focus. So if you'd like to see some templates in the real-time ladder, come up with that list. I'll be posting a post on the forum asking for ideas. and then I'll give that several days, and then once that settles down, I'll make an actual poll, and we can vote on what templates we'd like to see in the ladder. I will say this about Turkey local deployments. I think there should be at least one local deployment template in the real-time ladder, just because local deployments, I think it's a lot of fun. I like local deployments, and I'd like to see one. So if you don't like Turkey local deployments, I'd like to hear suggestions on a different local deployment template you'd like to see. I'd like to bring an idea which would be very ideal for the social environment of WarLight, a proper chat system in which WarLight, not the crappy rip-off version here we added a link to the site. I mean a proper custom chat system which is fast and effective. It would be ideal for clans. It would be awesome for public to interact and get used and make an attraction for players to come back and make friends to stick together. I absolutely agree. I think it would be really great to have a chat that's integrated into WarLight. And part of actually, you remember a while back we added this experimental sockets feature. Right now it's off by default, but you can turn it on. This is actually basically one of the things we did as a prerequisite to chat. Eventually, we do hope to add a chat room, some sort of chat features to WarLight that will use sockets for instant. Sockets allow it to update instantly, basically. So when somebody sends a chat message, it appears right away. Rather than now, if you don't use sockets, there's like a refresh timer on each game. I don't want to open games, show my position. But yeah, there's a refresh timer that goes occasionally. So a chat system would use sockets, and it would be great. And I definitely would like to see clan-specific chats as well as maybe even game-specific chats. Some kind of global chat, but I'm not sure how that'll work yet. It's definitely something that we want to do eventually. It's not our focus right now. Right now our focus is single player, but eventually we're going to get there. I agree, it's a great idea. Why is Crazy Challenge locked to Europe, but not Insane locked to Crazy Europe as it used to be? Oh, yeah, so there was actually a small change. So in this last update, I completely overhauled the way... Oh, wait, no, actually, I can't remember if that changed. Why is Crazy Challenge locked to Europe, but Insane not locked? Oh. Insane is playable, Crazy Challenge is locked. Oh. Yeah. Wait. What? Yeah. No, maybe that is a bug. You're right. I didn't even notice that when I was looking at this page before. Europe is playable. Insane is playable. Crazy is locked. Yeah, I need to look into that. That's strange. Let me add that to my list. So part of this update, I completely overhauled the way that single player works internally. So some of this code did get touched in the last update, and it's possible I created a bug on accident. So I will look into that, and we'll get that fixed. Thanks for pointing it out. I completely missed that. Trouble is, good players and good template makers aren't always the same people. Not always, but I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people that can be good at making single player levels. I think it'll work. Can you set the limit for custom scenario down? It's annoying that I can't make a good diplomacy. I'm level 40. I think it would be good to set the limit down. So yeah, I think you're asking you want custom scenarios to be unlocked at an earlier level. And honestly, the main reason that custom scenario is unlocked so high is because it can be abused. And by that I mean there are people that would try to make an unfair game. Like they could make a game where they start with 10,000 armies and everyone else starts with one army. Right, and they just can't lose, and that is something that is actually against WarLight's rules. And if we make the custom scenarios unlocked at too low of a level, then it kind of makes that hard to enforce because we can ban people that keep abusing it, but then they can just make a new account and do it again. So we have custom scenarios set to a pretty high level because that way people that work really hard to unlock it are probably not going to abuse it because they don't want to lose their account. If you do abuse it, you'll probably get warned. We're not just going to ban you on your first time, so you don't need to worry about it too much. You don't need to worry you're going to get your account banned. But there are some people that even after being warned, just continue abusing it again and again. And keeping it at a high level keeps that in check because they're afraid of losing their account because they worked hard to get there. So we probably won't be lowering it in level. Sorry. Yeah, I have unread. That usually happens when I stream. Somebody likes to make my unread mail blank, but I don't want to open it on stream. Let's see. Are there any plans to implement a way to feature multiple streams on the WarLight banner, such as if 2+ streams are on at the same time than the page that lists them? I agree. I think that would be ideal. So he's talking about this little ad right here that advertises whenever somebody is Twitch streaming on WarLight. This is not just for me. This is for anyone that streams WarLight on Twitch. One of the problems with this is it only displays whoever has the most viewers. I agree. I think the best way to do it is like if you hover over it, it can drop down something that shows them all. But I think it's kind of a low priority. I don't know. I've very rarely ever seen more than one person streaming WarLight at the same time. So I don't know if that's too big of a deal. I know one of the downsides of that is whoever starts streaming first will get viewers from this. And then if the second guy isn't a popular streamer, then it will be hard for him to overtake the first guy. But it's kind of just, that problem just gets solved by itself. If you're doing a better job than the first guy, you should overtake him in viewership and replace him. It should happen most of the time. So we're going to get an AI on 3v3 ladder for boots, please. Okay, so Chris CMU is asking about the ladder. So first let's talk about the ladder in case anyone listening doesn't know about it. So there's the ladders. This is the 3v3 ladder. And Chris wants the ability for anyone that gets booted in a 3v3 ladder game to get replaced with an AI so that they continue contributing to their team. The way I look at this is the ladders are kind of like the major leagues of WarLight. They're kind of like the professionals. I'm making like a sports analogy here. Like if you're a football player and you play in the pros, you know, you're playing a professional game, you're going to the Super Bowl. That's kind of like how I view the ladders. They're the highest level. There's a reason that every ladder game that gets completed is featured on the community tab right here. You can see every single ladder game that's played gets shown here. And it's kind of like this is where you come to bring your A game. This is where you go when you want to play at the highest level, compete against the best players, and show off your skills. So how that relates to boots is really, in my mind, you shouldn't ever get booted from the ladder. Like that's like calling in sick to the Super Bowl. It's like that just doesn't happen. It's like, well, if it happens, you better be on your deathbed, right? It's like nobody misses the Super Bowl. The way I view the ladder is you really shouldn't be getting booted. Boots are kind of like a bad thing. Like I would almost lean the other way. Like this request, having boots turn you into an AI on the 3v3 ladder kind of makes boots like a less of a big deal. Like you want to not lose a game because somebody got booted. I would almost lean the other way. Like I think the penalty for getting booted in the ladder should be more severe. Maybe not, but I would even entertain the notion that boots in the ladder should be more severe. Maybe you should just get kicked out of the ladder if you get booted. No, I wouldn't actually do that. But I don't like the idea of lessening the penalty of boots in the ladder. Just because I think that boots, you shouldn't be getting booted in the ladder. You should be, okay, so let me first say the real-time ladder is maybe an exception to what I just said, because the real-time ladder has like a 5-minute boot time or whatever, and things can come up, you know, if your power goes out or your internet goes down, sometimes you get booted in the real-time ladder. But the other ladders all have a 3-day boot time. You should be able to play, find 5 minutes to make a turn every 3 days. I don't think that's asking too much. If you're so busy that you can't find a time to play once every 3 days, then you're too busy for the ladder. You should just not play it. Please fix the AI. Sometimes it takes more than 4 minutes to commit. Oh, yeah. So the new AI is a bit slower than the old one. That is something we're looking at improving. That is also based on the speed of your computer. If you're having a problem with the speed of the AI, I'd encourage you to reach out and contact me. If you go to the very bottom of any page and click contact and then click on report bug, there's this report bug page. You can use this anytime you're having technical problems with WarLight. I encourage you to fill this out and let me know. And I'd want to know if the AI is taking 4 minutes to commit, so first off, the Flash has a 15-second timeout. So if it takes more than 15 seconds, it probably won't be committing. Like you'll just get an error saying your computer timed out. I'm really surprised to hear you saying it's taking more than 4 minutes. I'm not sure how that's possible. But I want to hear about what settings you're playing in. Like, are you talking about a really big map? Are you talking about a lot of AIs? I mean, what is the situation you're in? Because that will help me know how to optimize it. And the old AI I timed out too, so it's not like I'm not going to be able to fix every situation, but I'm going to try to make it faster as much as possible. Will you open an API to be able to program AI to play WarLight? So there is, if you go to the blog, there is this blog post, the WarLight AI goes open source. You can actually read about this. There actually is an AI or an API to allow you to code an AI against WarLight. And if you look on the GitHub repro, you can see an example of one right here. All the AIs that I talked about in the autopilot earlier are available in this GitHub repo. So you can go there and you can read the source code and you can see how the API works and learn to do that. If you're asking if you want an API to be able to play WarLight on the production server, so these AIs, well, you can play them on the production server, but they're not going to play for your account if that's what you're asking. And that will probably never be allowed just because we don't want robots on WarLight. We just want, approved features, either people using the autopilot or adding actual AIs to the game. I'm not sure if I explained that correctly, but where was I? When's your birthday? My birthday's in March. You missed it. It's always next year. Let's see. No, we've never had a team season. There was an FFA one. One of the problems with the team season is the seasonal ladders joined individually. So if there was a team season, it would have to be random teams, which we could do random teams on the seasonal ladder, but fixed teams doesn't really work because you join it as an individual, not as a team like the 2v2 and 3v3 ladders. Fizzer is suspend me for no reasons. I want to play again. It has been many weeks. Well, it probably wasn't no reason, and it probably wasn't me because we have helpers that we have moderators that help out with the reporting system and suspensions. And it certainly wasn't no reason. If you log in to WarLight, it'll tell you why you were suspended. Can you change the limit from making custom scenarios? Yeah. Please don't repeat the same question multiple times. Am I the creator? I am the creator of WarLight. I am not the creator of all things. What is your opinion on the off-topic forum? Do you think it is annoying or not? It can be annoying sometimes, but it's fine. I mean, every forum can be annoying sometimes. I think the forum has a problem of low-value content. One of the problems with the forum is that anyone can post. Everyone's post basically has equal visibility, which is one of the problems. I think we need the forum to have some sort of voting system. I think the ideal solution is to have the forum have some kind of voting system so that the good stuff gets upvoted and the bad stuff gets downvoted and the good stuff becomes more visible. One of the big problems with commanders, in my opinion, is that you cannot choose commander spot. It should not be highest pick. It should be ranked separately from your pick set. That could be interesting. Any chance to get a similar symbol as a blacklist symbol to players who have written private notes? I agree that would be a good feature. You should add it to the user voice so we don't lose track of that. Also, we can play 2v2 and all four players now, which overweights the problem. What? The tournaments we can play in pair, but simple games can't play weights the problem. What happens with the questions in the forum thread? Are you going to answer them in the... Yeah, once I run out of questions. People here have priority. I'll get to the forum thread later. Can we expect a full HTML5 engine replacing Flash? I do think that eventually WarLight will probably have to replace Flash with something else because Flash is kind of a dying platform. So yes, eventually, but it's not a priority right now. Right now our priority is single player. Can you go over the terms and service in Mandarin? Sorry, I don't speak Mandarin. Forums would benefit a lot from the mods that keep threads on topic. I'm sure some people would volunteer to do so. That would be great. In addition, it would be cool if off topic is somehow hidden automatically, at least on dashboard. Yeah, I agree with off topic being hidden. It is hidden on the multiplayer dashboard. So when you go here in these forum posts, this will never show off topic. When you say dashboard, you might be talking about the community tab. No, the community tab doesn't show off topic either. That only shows notable. So I'm not sure what you mean when you say off topic hidden somehow, at least on the dashboard. It is hidden on the dashboard. The only place it's not hidden is if you go to show all, or if you click on off topic directly, of course. As terms of mods that keep threads on topic, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say exactly how that would work. One of my concerns is I don't want to get into it. I don't want to censor. So I don't want to have some mods that just delete stuff they don't like or from people they don't like. And it's hard to say what should be deleted and what shouldn't. So, like, if you come up with some hard and fast rules that can apply, then I'd be interested in hearing those rules. But as it stands right now, we do have rules and we do delete posts that break the rules. Like, you know, you have to treat people with respect and you can't use excessive profanity and you can't post pornography and stuff like that. So we do have rules like that, but in terms of the stuff, like, how do you define what is on topic and not? Because if you start deleting everything that's off topic, then like 90% of the stuff, under some people's definition, 90% of the stuff could be deleted. So it's kind of hard to say what should and shouldn't be. If you want to take a stab at coming up with rules for what should be allowed and what shouldn't be on the forum, we can discuss it. Could there be a nudge sound that you could use on friends when you're waiting in a room with the friend? I definitely agree that nudge should make some kind of sound. I think that would be a really cool feature. So there is a nudge feature in WarLight, but the nudge feature in WarLight was introduced back when, before real-time games even existed on WarLight. Back when everything was multi-day, nudge just caused an email to get sent to the person, which made a lot of sense if you were waiting on them for like 8 hours and they hadn't played. You could nudge them, or 8 hours is actually too short. If you're waiting on them for like 48 hours and they hadn't played, you could nudge them and it would send them an email and hopefully they'd get back on. But then nudge doesn't really exist for real-time games because sending them an email doesn't really make sense when you're trying to play a real-time game. Because they probably don't have their email up. They're probably not going to get it right away. They might not get it until hours later. So I think a nudge that makes a sound on their computer or like shakes their screen or something, shakes the WarLight screen at least, I think that would be a great feature. I encourage you to add that to Userverse. I think that would be great. Are there any new achievements in the works? Not currently. I do want to think about whether or not it makes more sense to add some achievements for the new single-player stuff we're adding. So that could happen, but I haven't thought that through yet, so I don't know exactly how that's going to work. But yes, probably for single-player, there'll be some achievement updates. Can I buy Mardi Gras as my primary color for coins? That is something that Mercer and I have discussed many, many, many times. We've had some disagreements about colors. I don't want to get into the details, but yes, we have been talking about doing something like that. It could happen, but we'll see. Now, Mardi Gras is one of the what I call reserve colors. It's only for right now. The reserve colors are only usable in really big games, and I know some people want to use it as their main colors. It is something we've talked about. When you surrender a game and still get notifications from the chat, was it mentioned already? Okay. First, let's talk about what you mean when you say notifications, because I think what you're talking about is not actual notifications. Like the actual notifications are these email notifications or push notifications. I think what you're talking about is the filter here. So if somebody chats in a game that you are no longer in, it all depends on what your filter is. Like if you set your filter to games where it is my turn or have unread chat messages, you're going to see any games that have unread chat messages. Like here's a game I declined, but it has unread chat. So it shows up here because I set my filter to games where it is my turn or have unread chat. So both these games I declined this, but they have unread chat, so they show up when I change this filter. But if I go to the default filter, it'll actually never show me a game I declined. And I believe it will never show me a game I'm eliminated from that has unread chat too. So I would say check your filter. If you wanna change one of these filters, or if you want a new filter, we can talk about that. But yeah, so this all has to do with the filters. Your question boils down to what filter you're using. So that'd be my first question: is what filter are you using? And then my next question would be, if you change the default filter, does that solve your problem? If it doesn't, I'd want to hear why. All customer scenarios should be practice only. That is a potential solution to the problem. It still doesn't stop people from doing it. It stops them from getting points from it. But it still is. It would still be something that would probably be against our rules, because it would. It's just a bad experience for new players that see WarLight for the first time and they think, "Oh, let's join this game," and then they just lose because they had no chance of winning. It's a bad experience for new players, so it's still something that we don't want happening a lot, even if it's restricted to be practice only. Can you allow others to beat the maps made before making a map public? Some people are more into creating itself. I will gladly do that for some map makers. Are you talking about? I think you're talking about single player levels, right? The upcoming feature I talked about earlier. Can you allow other people to beat the levels made before making a level public? Map maker. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. Can you clarify what you're talking about? Would it be an option put in settings like commanders and local deployments on the same template on the real-time ladders? The chance of bumping into it are smaller. Oh. I don't know if they necessarily go together. It's something we can talk about, but put this on PS Vita so I can earn trophies already. I don't own a PS Vita. I don't think I've ever even used one, so I don't know much about that. Why are there commanders in the real-time ladder? That was added in the previous update. The main reason why is because commanders are a premier feature of the site, and I think they're fun, so I want to see them in the real-time ladder. I haven't played that template. Wasn't it completely random? No, it's not random at all. There's nothing random about it. It's 0% straight round. I've been warned once for making an unfair game for me. They had every territory but one, and I had one, and it was local deployment. They didn't have enough time and got booted. Yeah, so another way of making an unfair game is to try to intentionally get people booted. And there's a few ways of doing that. And you might have ran into one where you it made it look like you were trying to win by boot. You shouldn't be trying to win by boot. You should be trying to win by strategy. Can you raise the minimum level to post on general clan and ladder forums to avoid the amount of trolling we've had today? Maybe. If it would help, I would be okay with it. The only downside of raising the level too high is legitimate new players sometimes actually want to post real stuff, but I'm not sure how often that happens. We can talk about that. I'd be okay with doing that. If ladders are professional, shouldn't they be used the most strategic settings? That is a position that I think is a legitimate opinion. I think they should use settings that are. I think using settings that are fun trump strategic settings. Another thing to consider is we also want to make sure the settings that we use in the ladders are actually approachable by relative new players, not completely new players, but people that are new to say like level 50. Um, we don't want to have the settings be so complicated that only the top 2% of WarLight can be good at them. We want settings that maybe the top 20% of WarLight can be good at, if that makes sense. So one thing that's just why I want to avoid anything that's too complicated. Um, will autopilot be banned from ladders? If not, we'll soon see AI on the ladder. I think autopilot would do absolutely terrible at the ladders. It would be at the very, very, very bottom. I think even a very crappy human player can beat the autopilot. So I don't really think that's an issue. Can we get more ads on the ladder? I don't know what that means. You want advertisements on the ladder? If you get booted 3 times in a row, I think you should be kicked. The way it works now is I think if you're idle for 20 days, you get kicked. And that's a lot. How many times would you get booted? So if you got a game, it'd take you 3 days to get booted from it. So you could get booted, what, like 6 times? Which is a little higher. I think we set it a little bit high because we didn't want people to get kicked out accidentally and not know it. Because if you get kicked out of the ladder and then you're not sure, like if you had to take a temporary break, like if you were gone for a week and you came back and you expected to still be in the ladder, you might be wondering why you weren't getting new games. So we set it high enough just to be above that threshold, but we could potentially lower it a little bit. Maybe 10 days would be more appropriate. Can autopilot be a setting to turn on or off? I have no desire to play against someone who can't be bothered, so it turns into AI. Well, I mean, autopilot is never going to produce good orders. It's never going to produce as good orders as a person could produce if they're actually playing. So if you're playing against someone that's using autopilot, you're probably going to be able to beat them really easily. I don't think it's that something you really need to worry about, honestly. What do you think about people multi-accounting? So there's multi-accounting is something that can be used responsibly. It can also be used irresponsibly. If you use it irresponsibly, that's something that you should report, and we regularly police that. People are getting suspended all the time for multi-accounting, and so you should report them if you see people multi-accounting. Make sure to include all the evidence that you see. If they're doing it against the rules. If they're doing it in a responsible way, like if they're playing both sides of it, if they're playing the same side of a 2v2, that's actually okay. But if they're playing like both sides of a 2v2, that's against the rules. Make sure to report them. Include all the information, include all the accounts you think that that are the same, and include all the evidence that you've seen that makes you think they're multi-accounting. If you just report them and say, I think X and Y are the same player, well, you haven't given enough evidence. We need evidence to back up why you think they're the same player. So make sure to include all the information along with game links, especially if you see them doing it in multiple games. Include all the game links, every single one you can get, because the more evidence you can include, the more likely it'll be to actually convict them. Would it be an option to have AIs participate in the different ladders to actually get a rating? No, I don't think we need AIs in the ladders, to be honest. They would be at the very bottom, so I don't think it would be very interesting. If your sports analogy, if a player gets hurt, booted, then you can use a backup. In your world, if your quarterback goes down and the world team is forced to play without the position for the rest of the game. That's true. You're right. One of the differences is you're not going to get hurt from WarLight. Even if you have carpal tunnel, you can still play on a tablet or something. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Your analogy makes sense. There are backups in sports. If somebody gets sick in the Super Bowl, there's the backup plays for them. But yeah, it's a good argument. Auto decline in tournaments when not joining at a certain time to avoid inactivators blockading the invite list. What do you think of this? So I think the reason you want that is because you run into the invite limit. Correct me if I'm wrong. And really the problem here, um, the disconnect here is a lot of people try to use tournaments, private tournaments as public tournaments. And what I mean by that is they create a private tournament and then they just invite everyone, which is kind of not what private tournaments were created for. Private tournaments, the original design concept was you would create one and then invite just the people you want to play against. Like you'd invite maybe your friends or the people in your office or in your family or whatever. You play a big tournament with them. The invite limit makes a lot of sense in that situation, but it doesn't make a lot of sense when you don't care who joins and you're just trying to spam as many people as possible. That's when a lot of times people run into the invite limit. And then people ask for an auto decline feature where they want to get rid of the people that didn't join so that they can replace them with more people. Fundamentally, I think that's the wrong approach. I think a better way would just be, well, one better way than auto decline feature would just be to have an infinite invite limit. So you didn't have to worry about hitting the limit. The reason auto decline isn't the best solution is because if I get invited to a tournament and maybe I didn't notice it for a couple days and then I click on it and then it opens and it says you have declined. And I'm like, what? I didn't decline. I never click a decline button. Why does it say I declined? And then you'd have to learn that I'd auto declined, and that's just a bad experience for people. So auto decline, I think, is the wrong way of approaching that problem. But the better way is just to have a higher invite limit. And the only reason that the invite limit is what it is because there's like this section down here that lists all the invited and declined players. And this gets really slow as the list gets too long if there's like thousands of people here. So that's something that can be improved. That would be how I would think would be the best way to approach that problem. Tournaments in general have a lot of problems. There's a lot of things we need to improve. Can we somehow ban all people here that troll and just post symbols and crap that don't contribute to the chat at all? Has anyone been doing that? You can time out people. What happened to the idea of outsourcing template making to the community for new seasonal ladders and future art real-time ladder templates? I think that historically has been clear that template management has not been your forte. So yeah, it's not my priority. The ladders haven't been my priority recently, and I know I've been saying for a while I want to do some ladder polls to basically do exactly what you're saying. And that's coming. It's coming this week and next week. Do you plan to make maps yourself again? Probably not anytime soon. And really that's just because the community has been doing such a great job. I don't feel like I have to. There's so many amazing maps out there and so many maps that are way better than anything I can make. A lot of this stuff is just awesome. I don't think I can make anything as good as what the community is doing, so I don't think it's necessary. And not having enough maps is not a problem WarLight has. We have lots of amazing maps, so it's great. Watch can take a long time when lots of map is occupied. Guess it's fine. Actually, I don't think it's fine. I think watching turn is something that we want to make faster. That is something we're looking at improving. It probably won't change in the existing Flash version of WarLight, but it's something that we've been talking about improving if we ever make a new version, because as I mentioned earlier, eventually we want to be off of Flash. And so at some point we're going to be rewriting all that Flash code into something else. And that's the kind of point where I would look into doing something like overhauling the way turns are watched. Trying something new. Can the stream be viewed in a lower quality? That's something Twitch controls. It's not something I have control over. Let's see. No, it doesn't look like it can, but unfortunately there's nothing I can do about that. Will you open up Commander? I don't know what you mean by that. We should see games where you're eliminated come up in the games list. Else sometimes I just forgot about the game as it's only in past games. So again, there's this filter here where you can change it to, actually I guess none of these show games where you're eliminated. You're right. You have to go to past games to see those. That's interesting. I think this is the first time I've heard someone ask to see games where they're eliminated. If more people are interested in that, it's something we could look at. You should put it on user voice. Where is the autopilot? I don't see it. Oh, so if I didn't make it clear, that's only for members. So only if you're a paying member will you see the autopilot button. It is a member feature. Where is attack only on the 3v3 ladder? I've talked in previous AMAs about my feelings on attack only, so I won't repeat it. Random teams would be better than Commander in my opinion. Why not try it? Isn't Seems allowed to play to try out things like random teams? It's potentially. I don't know. I think Commanders is a new feature. I think there's a lot more to explore in it. Yeah, I mean, one of the things about random teams is you get problems because you're going to get bad teammates sometimes. You're going to get people that don't participate or get booted or aren't up to snuff. And a lot of the outcomes of it could be determined by the randomness of the teams. I've been looking through a lot of games, and why do pros surrender so quickly? That might just be because they're so experienced with the game and they can see 5 turns ahead. They can see where it's going. It might also be because they're, I don't know, maybe they're just surrendering too quickly. Maybe they are surrendering before the game actually is decided, and maybe they have one bad break and they get frustrated and think they're going to quit. I don't know. I think that's a question you have to answer on a case by case basis. I encourage you, if you see a game you're interested in, you can post a link to it on the forums and start a discussion about it. And maybe somebody will come back and say, I don't think he should have surrendered. If the next season gets Commanders again, so many good players are going to leave that ladder too. Well, there's always people joining and leaving the ladder. That's okay. Overall, the ladders are all growing. Can I play against the new AIs somehow? The only way to do that is to set up a game against a member who has autopilot and just tell them to always use the autopilot for their turns. That's really the main way. The only other way is to use the AI server, which was outlined on the blog, but that's a little bit more complicated. It requires downloading a tool and stuff like that. Why haven't you named yourself the Fizzer? That question is vital. I thought membership only allowed you to play with them. With who? I don't understand. I played a 2v2 and 3v3 ladder games and had my teammates booted, and it ruins the games. AI with comeback would be nice and help save the game rather than having to surrender every time because you're 2v1 and 3v2. You should find better partners. You should find people that aren't going to get booted. I know the idea of Warzone is coming. That should bring an overhaul of fresh new colors to give the naked eye a fresh image of more appealing and eye-catching instead of dark colors, which depresses me. When is Warzone coming? What is that? Is Warzone in general? I'm not sure where you heard that it's going to have fresh new colors. I never announced that. But this is still coming at some point. I don't know exactly when. We probably shouldn't have announced it when we did because I didn't realize it was going to be so far off. We ended up shifting our focus, and which is the reason why I shouldn't announce things too far in advance. So right now our focus is single player, and then after that I have to figure out what we're going to do after single player. Single player, we could have the ability to make notes, like a private chat for yourself, so you can write stuff like move order, waste that enemy income, check history. It can be annoying in multi-day games. Is this on single player or multi-day games? Multi-day single player games? Is that what you're asking about? Yeah, I think it's a good feature. Again, you should just user voice it. I don't see any downside to it, but it's not a super high priority. Are you going to change the art style? There's a lot of black. Maybe. I don't know. Who are you voting for president? I don't know. I don't really like any of the candidates, but I don't know. I don't want to talk about politics too much on the stream. The politics of the United States is so messed up. It's just sad. How and when did you get the idea to create WarLight? So back in 2008, basically the way it started was I was playing other games on the internet with my friends, and I was really dissatisfied with them. I just didn't like the way they were running their game. I didn't like the interface they had made, and I didn't like the things they were working on and the decisions they were making. So I decided to make my own. And ever since then, when I first created it, it was just I just intended to play it with my friends. I never thought it would turn into a company or a product that I sold or anything like that. I was just going to play a few games with my friends and then move on to something else. But I had so much fun working on it. I just kept working on it and improving it and adding features, and people just kept joining and playing it. And eventually I quit my job, and now I do it full time. No, I don't speak Cantonese either. You can try Google Translate. Unfortunately, I only speak English. Um, do you do anything to encourage diplomacy games and multiplayer? Or do you mainly focus on single multiplayer games, FFA, coin games, etc.? I certainly I like the diplomacy players. You could say some of the features that I added work well for diplomacy games, like custom scenarios was added for things like diplomacy games. And I try to, when I think about features, I certainly consider diplomacy players and how they would use that feature. But I would say it's not my main focus. On the world of the internet, some people value their privacy more than the internet itself. I would like to know if anyone is interested about hiding their privacy, i.e. their profile flag. Can they hide it under a setting which WarLight facilitates this? We don't currently offer that ability, but it is something I would consider adding. Why is there a Second Life ad in your game? Please answer. These are Google ads. Google decides which ads to give. I should probably turn ads off for the live stream. Because I am a member, I can turn ads off, as all members can. There we go. I normally keep ads on just because I want to make sure I play the game the same way that new players... I see the game the same way that new players see it. So if ads are really annoying or they get in the way, I want to subject myself to that pain to make sure it's not too bad. Why is membership not lifetime anymore? Okay, so membership is... the main thing... Well, okay, one of the things membership does is it turns off ads. So it gives you ad-free playability to never have an advertisement on WarLight. And one of the problems with offering a lifetime membership... Okay, let me back up. So every time anyone plays WarLight, it actually costs money. The WarLight servers cost over $1,000 a month just to keep them running. And part of the way we recoup that cost is with ads. So if you're a non-member, every time when you play WarLight, you see ads, and those actually generate revenue, and that helps cover the costs that it took for us to keep the servers alive. And one of the problems with offering a lifetime membership is if somebody plays enough, they'll eventually, so if somebody turns off ads for life and then they play enough, they'll eventually cost us more money than they actually paid in. So that's why we have it set up to be either monthly or yearly, because that way, if you're paying every month or every year, if you only pay for 1 year, after a year your ads will come back, and you have to pay again for another year of ad-free play. So basically, the main reason is because lifetime membership, we could actually lose money on that deal. I'm not sure if I explained that properly, but. I will give you 10,000 coins for serious ladder changes. The community votes on all real-time ladder templates, also Commander. In the default filter, I'm getting chat notifications, as you mentioned. I thought if you were eliminated from a game, maybe I'm wrong. If you're eliminated from a game and somebody chats, I thought it didn't show up on the default filter. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, send me an email about that. I'll look into that some more. I can't remember exactly what the behavior is. If we want diversity in the real-time ladder, can we have more templates, like 20 instead of 10? I think the main problem of going up to 20 templates is it makes it so hard for new players to get comfortable before they can play. Because if you have to learn 20 templates, that's a pretty big burden. I actually think it's a pretty big burden to have to learn 10 templates. when you're on the real-time ladder. Um, I'd actually be interested in some kind of system maybe where when you first join the ladder, there's only like 3 templates you'll get. And then after you get those templates a certain number of times, it expands. There's like a 4th, and then a 5th, then a 6th, then a 7th, and then if you do it that way, there's no limit. You could go up to 20, you could go up to 50. It wouldn't matter. Um, I don't know. I mean, if there were enough people on the real time ladder, we could even make a system that, like, where you could pick what templates you're willing to play. You could say, well, I don't like these 3, but I like these, and then if there's a match, it'll just pick the match for the templates you're willing to play. I think that would be the ideal way to do it. But that would only really work if we had a lot of people on the ladder. And right now, there's just not enough. If there's only 3 people joined, if there's only 4 people joined to the ladder, and they all like different templates, then there'd be no games. Where it's better to have some games than no games. Can you change your turn to 1 day too? You will be bootable in 2 days on the games list. The main reason I don't like that is it encourages people to procrastinate. If you tell somebody, hey, you've been holding up this game for a day, versus if you tell them, oh, you have 2 days until you're booted, they're more likely to procrastinate under the second option than the first. And I think it's just a psychological thing. If you tell someone, you have 2 days until something's due versus telling them, you've been holding up a game for a day, they're more likely to actually do it. I want games to actually... I think our goals are aligned, that we both want games to actually complete as fast as possible. Of course, I say that as I'm procrastinating 2 games here. But these are AI games. But yeah, let's just scroll that off the screen. We'll pretend we didn't see that. I want to try to do everything I can to avoid procrastination. And telling people how long they have left, I think, will encourage more procrastination, if that makes sense. I'm not sure how I understand how this chat relates to speaking, but I'll try to put my question here. Does WarLight share its origin with Sean O'Connor's Conquest? No, I don't think I've ever played it. What was the first WarLight map? The very first WarLight map ever was a really crappy one called Old Earth, and I've retired it because it was so bad. I just deleted it. Yeah, people already answered you. Who is your celebrity crush? I would have to say my celebrity crush is Elon Musk. I'm a big fan of his companies. The chat does relate to speaking, and he goes to the chat. Yeah, okay. I already answered what made me create WarLight. You would make a newbie forum for newbies maybe and raise a level for the other forums. Yeah, the newbie forum already exists. It's basically the help forum. And the help forum does not have a level limit. Any level can post in the help forum. What I meant with my question was the map maker must beat a level before making it public. Can a map be sent to someone else to beat? Now, are you talking about maps or are you talking about single player levels? Because maps are kind of just the map. You can set up any sort of start. If you're talking about single player levels, you're asking if the single player level must beat a level before making it public. Can the map be sent to someone else to beat? Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying if a single player level, if one person wants to create the level and somebody else wants to beat it, you could do it that way, but I think it's more simple just to have the creator beat it, because if it's not beatable, then the creator needs to modify it to become beatable, and it just becomes complicated if you send it to someone else. I think most single player levels makers will be okay with beating their own level. Can we add more templates? Okay, we already talked about that. Is there any chance you'll increase the maximum allowance for SVG files in terms of their physical dimensions? 300 by 200 is sometimes hard to work with. That is something we've thought about, and unfortunately, probably not. The maps have a few limits. The size, the dimensions is one thing. The other limitation is the 2 megabyte limit. The 2 megabyte limit is the other one. Actually, I mean, increasing the dimensions isn't too big of a deal. They can be increased a little bit. The main one that we're not going to increase is the 2 megabyte size limit. I'd be interested in hearing if you're having a map that is okay with 2 megabytes, but it's not able to fit into the horizontal and vertical pixel sizes, actually send me an email with what map you're working on and tell me how big you'd like to make it, and then maybe we can talk about increasing that limit. I have a complex question about the multiplayer process. Now that I have your attention, how would you feel about dating a 15-year-old girl? That's illegal. Do you think I can reach 1v1 on the 1v ladder with the help of autopilot? No. Oh, well, with the help of? I don't know. Well, could you do it without autopilot? If you could do it without autopilot, then I would say yes. If you can, I don't think autopilot will help you get any higher than you could have gotten without it. How about a feature to show the move order in a game so you don't always have to check the history or do the math? Just click move order button and it shows you the order for that turn. So there's a setting on games called the move order, and if it's set to no luck cycle, it'll actually show you the move order up here in the top left corner. If you are set to a different one, then you have to actually figure it out. Where's move order? Move order, no luck cycle. So it should actually show me in this game. Right here, you will get first order this turn. You can hover over it, and you can see the entire order of everyone in the game. Many team games are lost because booted players' AI is terrible. Is there a possibility to take over the teammates' AI movement? A possibility is something we talked about a lot. I know it's a feature Mercer wants to see added. I've discussed that already on User Voice. If you go to the User Voice forum, you can see discussion about that. And you should vote for it there if you haven't. You want to make a new WarLight web design? Sure, if you want to make it, I'll take a look. I can't guarantee you will use it, but at some point we'll probably redo the web design, but I don't know when that will be. In the deploy turn, yeah. What is your favorite drink? Milk. Does WarLight have a problem with team killers? There is always someone want to troll. If you have that problem, if you see that happen, you should report them. Be sure to include a link to the game and tell us what in the report what they did, and we'll deal with them. Yesterday we have Sephiroth playing only with autopilot, and he beat a player with no autopilot. Remove it from the ladder should be legit for 1300 or 1400 rating. I'd like to watch that. I don't know how that's possible. I would be surprised. We'll see. I'd be interested in knowing what AI he was using. And I'd also want to make sure that he wasn't like modifying the orders, because some people will say that they're using autopilot, but they're not just using the autopilot as is. Like maybe they're starting with the autopilot and then they're modifying stuff. Or maybe they're running the autopilot over and over and over to get something they like. Or maybe they're trying all the AIs and then picking the one that's best. So all those things still have human improvement. It's not just the autopilot playing. It's humans making it better. So it's basically injecting your own skill into it. Separate ladder and divisions, first, second, third, so anyone can be competitive. That's an interesting idea. That is something that we could look at doing someday. I like the idea. The main reason we've never done that in the past is because the ladder was never big enough. But now maybe we can make the argument the ladder's big enough to do it. And it was streamed. Okay. Would it be possible to add more built-in multiplayer templates to single-player mode? Like you can choose, for example, 1v1 ladder template. Yeah, you can actually do that. So if you go to single-player, custom game, use a built-in template. There's this drop-down right here where you can change it from built-in single-player templates to built-in multiplayer templates. And then you can choose like the strategic 1v1. It's right there. There you go. Oh, well, okay. You also have to change the number of players. That's something we should improve. So it defaults to 3 opposing AIs. If you really want to play exact ladder settings, you just have to go 2 AIs. And there you go. You got ladder settings in single player. What do you think of the WarLight World Championship? It's a tournament. It's been a long time since I played it. I think I was eliminated. I don't even remember it. Can you introduce a defensive AI that deploys but doesn't attack? This would be useful in diplomacy games when you get booted. That's definitely something that would be interesting. Right now we only have one AI. Like when you get booted in multiplayer, there's only one AI. I'm not sure how. I mean, it could be a game setting that the creator selects which AI will control the AIs in his game, and then we could have a version that doesn't attack. That's definitely a possibility. You should put it on user voice. How are points at real-time ladder measured? Oh, wow. I just now added as moderator. I'm so far behind. How are points in real-time ladder measured? So you receive points for the real-time ladder. How's that work again? I think it's just like the other ladders where it's every day. Is that correct? No. The real-time ladder, you just get points when you win games. That's right. I forgot. So every time you win a game on the real-time ladder, you get points, and they're worth more than a normal game. Add a spoiler code for forums. It makes it easier to organize huge threads. What does that do? That just like collapses it by default, or does that make it blacked out? So then you have to hover over it to see the text? Is that what it does? Or does it make it collapsible? What kind of maps do you enjoy most? Do you have some favorite maps? Sure, I have some favorite maps. There's a lot of maps I like. You can see the maps I've marked as favorite. There you go. Here's some of the maps I've marked as favorite. Do you have any pets? Do they play WarLight? Wait, did I miss anything? What are your thoughts on the legendary player Bane? I don't know. The new settings usually get 1 season. Why does Commander get 2 seasons? Well, Commander is just a big premier feature of the site. It's a big deal. Do you have any pets? Do they play WarLight? I don't have any pets. I would like to get a dog, but I like pets, but I don't have any. I don't have time. WarLight takes up all my time. Do you have any plans of making WarLight more commercial, like more bigger, and will you ever sell WarLight? No, I don't have any plans on selling WarLight. I'm not sure what you mean by more commercial, like more bigger. You're talking about like number of players? Because I have no control over that. Players play it or they don't play it. Can somebody please ban the people not contributing to the chat? I'm so far behind, it's hard for me to moderate chat. Auto-client tournament. Higher invite limit doesn't stop players from inviting a lot of active players that block the invite list. Well, if you have an infinite invite list, I don't think it would. What if you implement a variable time like 5 times the boot time of tourney games? If they get auto-decline, then you can actually be glad not to have joined, because then you wouldn't have been booted to the tourney games. I don't follow your logic. I mean, still, auto-decline, it doesn't make sense to decline somebody. I mean, you could have like an auto remove, like you remove them. That may just be a terminology issue, but I think fundamentally, the problem you want to solve is you want to have bigger tournaments that are easier to start. And I understand that request. And the way to go about that is, we may disagree on the way to go about it, but I hear your request. You should put it on user voice, and if we ever revisit tournaments, it'll definitely be something we look at. We definitely want to make it easier to start tournaments. Is the user voice thing really a valuable thing to suggest new features? Sure, I look at it. I read everything that's contributed to user voice. I'm going to try to catch up on chat. Have you given up on Congregate already? A few people still come over from there. So Congregate was kind of always intended to be a spin-off of WarLight's main game. It's not our primary focus, to be honest, and I haven't given up on it. I still keep it updated. Like, there's a bug in it a while back that I went and fixed. And I think there's still even a bug in it now that I need to fix. But in long term, you should probably not expect Congregate to exist forever. The Congregate version of WarLight to exist forever. But it's still there for now. You can always migrate all your stuff to WarLight. The big problem with playing WarLight on Congregate is the window is so small. It's just not a very good experience. I do like that they have better chat features, but eventually we want to have chat features on WarLight too. If there's something on the Congregate version that isn't on the main WarLight.net version you're interested in, I'd be interested in hearing about that. And we can potentially add it to the WarLight.net version. Because we want the WarLight.net version to be a superset of Congregate. We want to have everything the Congregate version does, so that there's really no reason to stay on Congregate. How about to help with similar colors, as players can add patterns or symbols of color? Yeah, I agree. That'd be a good feature. Again, it just has to be prioritized with everything else. Let's be honest. Are you disappointed if there stands this tournament has started without you? That's the same as I could say, "Star, you have been auto declined." Um, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. You're right. I mean, it's a similar concept, but I wouldn't use the word auto decline just because I don't think that's as understandable by a new player. I would say like, "Sorry, you took too long to join," or "Sorry, the tournament started." I would just even replace it to with the message, "This tournament started without you." Just use that for both cases. Can you please scroll a little bit faster to the chat? I'm 10 minutes ahead. I'm sure you said that like an hour ago. I will try. How much money do you make? I don't want to reveal exact money numbers. I had the ability to see where wastelands are during the actual gameplay without having to look at history. That is something we've talked about. And yes, that is something we will look at. Probably when we make a new version of WarLight, like to replace the Flash version, would be when we'd look at adding features like that. We probably won't continue investing in the Flash version too much because it's not going to live forever. Can we have a veto for templates on the ladder? I think you're talking about the real-time ladder. Yeah, that's something I talked about earlier. Do you play a lot of board games? What is your second favorite board game after Risk? I don't even know if I'd say Risk is my favorite board game. But yeah, I do play board games from time to time. I don't know what I'd say my favorite are. I will call out, I wouldn't necessarily say this is my favorite, but I will call out one indie game I've been playing called Star Realms. It's a cool card game. Will you be creating a Play Now button feature anytime soon? Um, you're talking about like an easier way to create games, like come on to WarLight, just click Play Now and it just starts. Something like that. Yeah, we've talked about having a feature like that, basically for new players that don't know how to go. Because create game is a little overwhelming. You have all these options to choose from, and this is just completely overwhelming to a new player. Like they don't know what luck the modifier means, or extra armies for territories. All this stuff in Army Cap. You have to like learn what all this stuff means. It's not very approachable to new players. So some sort of easier way for new players to get in, like a Play Now button, that is something we are definitely considering. Will there ever be official support for alternate accounts? So that alternate accounts are displayed on player's profile and only one of them gets coins. It is something I'd like to do sometime. Alternate accounts are kind of a problem in general. Sometimes I think about, Mercer really wants me to crack down on them some more, and like, I don't know if I necessarily ever just completely ban multi-accounts, but some sort of maybe system to track them or something like that. I don't know exactly what that would look like. Do you have any plans to step up advertising to bring in new players? Maybe someday. Advertising costs a lot of money. We don't have that much money, so we're just right now I'm mainly focusing on trying to keep the servers alive, not spending money on ads. Ads tend to be a pretty losing proposition in general. Advertising is really expensive. Usually, I would suspect that we would not bring in as much money as we spent on advertising. Can you make moderators for clans that is not just user with full power? Yeah, again, that's definitely something I think would be a good feature. Because right now in clans, you can basically just give them full power or no power. There's nothing in between. I definitely think that's a good feature. You should vote for it on user voice. If you need help scripting or making things more faster, just ask, because what I see players normally only in $1,000. Because what I see of players normally only, and the $1,000 cost every month, I think we can make a lot faster and cheaper to run. Maybe. I mean, a lot of it is the CPU costs. The servers churn through a lot of games. There's a lot of people playing. A lot of it is bandwidth as well. I'm sure it'd be cheap. I'm sure something can be done to make it cheaper to run. I've actually done a lot of work on trying to make it cheaper already. Like if I hadn't done that, it would probably cost like 10 times that much. What kind of new map would you like to see created by the map development community? Um, I've seen a couple threads somebody created on the forums about trying to make a map for every country in the entire world, and they come up with a list and say, here's all the countries that no map exists for. I think that's a really cool project. I would like to see a map be created for every country. I think that would be cool. We already have, of course, a lot of them. Just a note, when create a game, even if you uncheck the box for automatically start when players join, it will still start when the room is full. So that setting now, that used to work for both multi-day and real-time, but now it only works for multi-day games. Real-time games actually don't use that, and I agree it probably needs to be more clear, because it probably looks like a bug to you, because if you only play real-time games, it probably just looks like the feature is broken. So yeah, I should improve that. The reason we had to disable it for real-time games is because people were abusing it. Does anyone know what is the actual delay between it? Yeah, it's... What do you think about improving coin free-for-all games? Maybe to create multi-day FFA coin games. I think you can do that already if you go to coins, create game. You can click on the FFA, and you can click on multi-day. So you can do it, but only on these one settings, which I agree is a severe limitation. So someday, yeah, I would certainly like to see, I guess you're probably talking about custom games, because right now custom games can only be done 1v1. That's something I talked about with Mercer, and we decided that a lot of times FFAs just get abused because people try to join with their friends and then they work together. I'm not sure how well that would really work, but it's something I'd be open to experimenting with. Where did I leave off? Did I lose my place? I did lose my place. Okay, I already read this. Thank you for the answer to my question. I agree that procrastination outweighs the benefit of not having games ruined by a boot that you or a teammate missed. You can't procrastinate past the boot limit of the game. Making the boot time shorter for games fixes that issue. It is easy to lose a shorter boot game in the mix of a 3-day game, so many of us have a 20. Yeah, I agree. And maybe there's some sort of compromise you can do there where you can say, like, for the first, if you're a 3-day boot game, for the first 2.5 days, it can say it's been your turn for 2 days. And then once it gets down to like the last 12 hours, it can say you only have 6 hours left. It still might encourage procrastination a little bit more, but I think that would be an okay compromise. I would be okay with doing that. What is your position on creating a sea tile so you can make ships? I'm not sure exactly what that means from a gameplay perspective. You could definitely do some interesting stuff with, like have water and land tiles that are different, that act differently somehow. You have to use ships to move them across. It's definitely it could be an interesting game mechanic. You should add something like that to user voice. It could be something we do someday, but it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. I don't have any favorite map makers. I don't want to call anyone out. I love all the map makers. You can lose points from winning games against a very poorly rated players. That isn't fair. I've heard this. I can't remember well, first off, you need to talk about which ladder you're talking about. Because the real-time ladder uses a different rating system from the other ladders. Ideally, yeah, I agree with you. You should never lose points from winning a game. And in the 1v1 ladder, 2v2, 3v3, and seasonal, it can be hard. Sometimes you think you lose points for winning a game when you actually don't, because every time the ladder updates, there's a lot of things that go into changes. There can be ripple effects. If a player you beat lost a game, that can actually lower your rating, even if you beat them like a month ago. So it's hard to say exactly why your rating went down. Sometimes you'll win a game and then you see your rating goes down and you're all disappointed. But sometimes it wasn't that win that caused your rating to go down. So if you go to the wiki, there's actually a page where you can calculate your ladder rankings, and you can actually see exactly how much each game impacted your ladder rating. So if you go through that and calculate it out and see that that game actually lost 2 points, I'd be interested in hearing about that. Send me a message with what you did and exactly what the change on your rating was. On the real-time ladder, ratings are more instantaneously upgraded. Your rating is instantaneously changed after each win, so it's easier to see. If you're losing points there, we can talk about maybe using a different algorithm. The real-time ladder uses the true skill algorithm. Ideally, I would hope that true skill never lowers your rating after a win, but maybe it does. I'm not sure. And you need to control a Seattle to transport armies. Yeah, ships. Sure. I once ran from someone who understood the rating system, even though you lose a point is good in the long term. Interesting. Do you control the ads on WarLight? I don't control what individual ad exists. I only control what ad network we use. So I've most of the ads are Google ads. All the ads on the website are Google ads. The mobile apps use ads from different sources, but the ads on the website are Google ads, which just basically means I say Google show an ad, and Google controls which ad appears. I've killed 0 people. When we revamp the friend list, let you see who's online, etc. I don't know when that will happen. It is something I would like to do someday. Just as I've said in the stream already, there's like 1,000 things I'd like to do someday, so it's a very hard prioritization problem. Would you consider having those advertising messages that use advertise your stream also be allowed to advertise other streams like WGL and streamers? It actually already does. Anyone that hosts something on Twitch that plays WarLight will show up here. So WGL shows up there every week. Any streams on Twitch. Trying to catch up on chat. I think you should make something extra for diplomacies, like a warning when you join diplomacies. New players will not ruin fun in diplomacies, or free license that you must install, or you must register so trolls don't ruin fun. Those are all interesting features. I've experimented with warnings in the past and found they don't work very well. Like, you can pop up a warning and make someone click it before they join games, and people will just click whatever gets them into the game without reading it or really wanting to obey it. I'm not sure that would be very effective, to be honest. But I'm not sure what you mean by a free license that you have to install. I have no idea what that means or how that would work. Are you able to spectate other people's games without fog real time? Am I able to? I am able to, but I only use it if somebody like reports a bug to me, and I'm trying to figure out why. And of course, I would never use it for a game I'm in. There have been some community events or conversations or competitions I've been very excited about. Have there been things you couldn't wait to saw them end? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool community events. I don't know how to call them out specifically, but there's a lot of good events. You should check them out. Is it possible to update the flags? I am from the Hazen Lands of Scotland, yet we have our own flag representative people here. So the flags are all determined based on IP. So I'm limited by the IP database. We use this database called MaxMind. I'm limited by the countries it identifies. If it doesn't identify your country, then unfortunately I can't do anything about that. I mean, unless I gave an option to manually choose your flag, which is a possibility, but it's not something we currently have. Can make different card settings in single-player map. Sure, when you play a single-player game, you can control all the cards, just like you can in multiplayer. Are you going to add some more features for clans soon? A distributor for clan mails is definitely needed by most managers of larger clans. The last year I proposed a clan invitation menu. I certainly would like to add a lot of clan features. You should vote for them on user voice, but right now my focus is single player. I already talked about how I came up with the idea of WarLight. If you missed it earlier, I'm going to be posting the video at the end. On the homepage, it says WarLight is now on mobile. It's like a year old. Yeah, I know. That's been there for a long time. This little ad right here. But I think it, even though it's been there for a long time, I think it's still valid to have an ad for the mobile app somewhere on the homepage. It certainly doesn't need to say now on because it's been there for a while. But at some point, we'll probably overhaul the whole mobile page, and then that will be more sensible. How hard is it to maintain WarLight? Keeping up with the servers, keeping up with complaints, trying to improve the game. It is my full-time job. I definitely work a lot of hours on WarLight just to maintain it and trying to push forward. I already feel very stretched thin in terms of maintaining WarLight because WarLight has so many features that I feel like are neglected. Like the ladders haven't had any significant overhauls in a long time. Tournaments and the iOS and Android app, they all feel a little neglected to me. I feel like there's a lot of improvements that are needed to a lot of different areas of WarLight. Just like single player, for example, has been neglected since like 2008. There haven't been any significant improvements to it. So now single player is finally getting its chance to get some attention. And then once that's done, we'll move on to something else and improve that area. Can't unneglect everything at the same time. What was the most complex part in programming during development of WarLight? There's certainly a lot of parts of the game that were complex. One of the most complex things, the thing that stands out to me the most was when I first went to make I would say the most complex thing is trying to power all of the parts of WarLight from one code base, because I am kind of a stickler for not duplicating code. So when it comes to, there's an iOS app, an Android app, a Flash app, and the server runs on the JVM, and it's all written in C#. And I want to have one code base to power all those platforms. And because I don't want to duplicate it. Like I don't want to make a version in Java for Android, and a version of Objective-C for iOS, and a version in ActionScript for Flash. Like I don't want to have to rewrite the game multiple times and maintain multiple copies of the code base. So trying to get one code base working on across all those platforms was probably the most complex part. And the database is also another very complex part because WarLight has huge databases. What's your story about starting WarLight? Leaving your job, the idea hit when you decide to make... I talked about that a bit earlier. You can watch the video. Am I still going to get a ban if I create new alternate accounts? My case is special. I'm not sure what's special about your case. But as long as you don't abuse the alternate accounts, you're okay. Don't play coins from multiple accounts. Don't use them in the same... Basically, don't use them in the same game. Don't use them in the same tournament. Don't use them in the same ladder. Don't use them... Don't do anything naughty. Just be nice. Can we add in proper leagues, like the player-made leagues? Someday I'd like to see that, yeah. I think that'd be cool. I want a player-made league to... If a player-made league gets popular enough, and they prove that they're in it for long enough, I'd be okay with adding it as more of a concrete feature on the site. Could you add an F for friends, which appear in the same places as the B for blacklist? Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that idea. You should put it on user voice. Will you highlight this broadcast for later viewing? Yes, I am recording it. I will upload it to YouTube as I've done for the previous ones. You can go watch the previous ones if you're interested too. Could you explain how branching and merging the AI project works? I don't want to get too technical on this stream because I know most people aren't programmers, but if you want to make improvements to AI, you can go to our GitHub site and make a pull request. You can read about, if you're just interested in how branching works, you can go read about how it works on Git, because it's no different than how it works on any GitHub repo. But if you want to make contributions to the AI, now is the time. Eventually, we want the AI to become fixed because single player levels will be balanced against it. But for right now, we are accepting contributions, so I would encourage anyone that's interested in that to do it. Do the Ask Fizzer anything streams or record? Okay. What's your favorite cheese? Ooh, I do like cheese. I usually just buy Tillamook cheddar cheese. What is the average amount of people who visit the WarLight website? Congregate doesn't get over 20 players daily. Yeah, Congregate, they don't feature it on their homepage anymore. Back when it was brand new, they put it on the front page of Congregate, and it got a lot of viewers. But now it's just kind of buried off in Congregate's site. There's a lot more people on warlight.net. There's over 100,000 daily players. Where you raise the limit for entry fees in coin games. Raise the limit. I saw a thread of a former poker player that would be interested in banning the allotments available. It would be good for Warlight. Yeah, I talked to someone recently about that. It is something we can talk about. I mean, if you go to custom games, you can already create games using whatever your balance is. So really, you can have games that are hundreds and hundreds of dollars using the custom coin games. So if you're interested in that, you can go do this. You can drag this entry fee up to however many coins you have. Is there one thing that really helped you in getting more money? Add more payment options. For I don't use credit card or PayPal, and very much people don't use. I would ask, what do you use? The main reason we actually use PayPal is because they accept the most forms of payment, and they basically have the most ways to pay around the world. I'm not aware of anything that's easier to pay with than PayPal. I'd be interested in hearing why you don't use PayPal, and why you can't use PayPal, and what you can use, because as far as I know, PayPal supports the most forms of payment. So I'm surprised to hear that. We actually launched WarLight originally on Amazon payments, and I had a whole bunch of people that couldn't use Amazon payments, and they're like, please add PayPal. And plus I was having all these other problems with Amazon payments. So we ended up just switching to PayPal. And ever since then, it's been a lot better. Many fewer people are complaining about payment options. So I'm interested to hear what your problems are. I like the levels things, but it could be better if you lose a game. You can also lose points and sometimes a level. That would make more stuff cool and fun. That's interesting. I don't know. That doesn't really fit in with the points model we have now. One of my fears is with doing that is it would cause people to play fewer games because they'd be afraid of losing their progress. I want to be able to play freely without fear. How well protected is the coin system of WarLight? I fear it might be hacked. It should be well protected. Every coin transaction is logged in the database, so I can see a paper trail of everything that happens, and it shouldn't be possible to hack it. Why can matchup on the ladder be so uneven? I mean, this guy's getting matched up with very poor opponents on the seasonal. Jay-Z deserves to win this season, but Vers was definitely... So he just got matched against MG Relight, who's number 7. That's pretty reasonable. 3 against 7. He got matched up against Brack, which is number 10. I mean, he's getting people on the top 10. That doesn't seem like a problem. I mean, Mr. T is in the top 10. Talking Fan is somewhere. 285? How'd that happen? So I don't know about the details of this. I would have to look into it. One thing that can cause you to get poor matchings on the seasonal ladder is if you leave and rejoin, or if you join late. That can definitely cause you to get poor matches. I'm not sure if that's what happened here, but that is one possibility. It's one possibility. It's something I'd want to rule out. And the reason it's designed that way is I want the path to victory to be join the ladder and never leave it, because I don't want people to gain an advantage by manipulating and joining and leaving all the time. So that's actually by design. Don't use Google for ads. Google is the worst for making money. They're the worst? That's funny. Tell me what's better. I'll try it out. I'll do a sample. I'll do a test. And if they're better, I'll switch. Because in my experience, Google has been pretty good to me. How do bugs work? I don't get it. WarLight on Kong was working well, and then it had to be fixed. How? Why? There was actually an update to Flash There was an issue with the scrollable areas inside Flash. It's like any place that scrolls, like chat. If you go to chat, it has a little scroll bar inside of Flash, and there was a bug that caused it to break. Like this is a scrollable area within Flash. There was an update to Flash that caused a change to the way this works, and basically WarLight in some places tells the command to say scroll to bottom, and in my code I just said scroll position equals and then a really big number like int.max value basically, which is like 2 billion. And in Flash that always worked and it always caused the scroll bar to go to the bottom. But then they changed something in Flash and all of a sudden when I tried to say int.max value it caused an error, and that basically broke any part of WarLight that used scroll bars. So I had to go in to congregate and do a fix. Instead of saying scroll position equals int.max value, I say scroll position equals, and then I calculate the height of this thing, and then put that position in there. And so I had to go fix that. I had to fix that on warlight.net too. Other things that can happen is I change something on the server, and then something on the client needs another change. Corresponding change. Stuff happens. I spell potato without an E. And I've never been to Ireland. I don't know anything about it. Is there a way I can help improve WarLight? I'm game developer myself, but WarLight is the only game I'm obviously addicted to. Maybe. You can send me an email. If you want to work on the AI, that's a place where we're currently accepting contributions. I would like to know your thoughts on passcode games. Games that will only be able to clan mates and custom friends lists. Main reason I never liked passcode games is because it's like, where do you advertise them? If you want a game that's like on the open games area down here, but that needs a passcode, I think that's a bad experience because people come here to try to find a game to play. And if they find a game, they're like, oh, that looks cool. And then they click on it and realize they can't join it because they don't have the passcode. That's kind of a bad experience. I'd rather do it in like a way where you can just say, open to my friends lists or open to my clan or something like that. And then you just create an open game and anyone that sees it can join it. It would only be shown to your friends or clans list, for example. I think that would be a better way of handling it than using a passcode. How many people work on WarLight? There's just 2, me and Mercer. Mercer and I. Excuse me. Is it okay to make a Twitch stream in any language other than English? It would still be advertised on the main page. I think it would be best to keep it English only, and the only reason I say that is because WarLight is an English site. It's the only language we really support right now. If you created a stream that spoke a different language, it would just be confusing for most people that clicked on it, because the odds that somebody clicks on it that happens to speak the language you're streaming in is very low. I have coins in some of my alts. Shouldn't it be possible to have that way at a place where I can donate these coins? If you send me an email with the alts, send me an email from the alt account or with a link to it, and I can remove them. I pay via debit card on everything and had to create a PayPal account to buy membership. It was so annoying I had to do that. So you shouldn't actually have to create a PayPal account. There's actually, when you come here and you say purchase with PayPal, there's this option. If you click right here, play with an online bank account, debit card, or PayPal credit, you can actually just pay, click debit or credit card. You don't actually have to create an account. You can just type in your credit card number and all your details here, and it will just pay. So you don't actually have to make an account if you use this option. What level do I need to be to create games with custom maps? Custom maps can be done any level. If you go to community maps, you can see all the maps, and if you click on one, it'll tell you what level you have to be to use that particular map. Anything else, if you want to know what level you have to be, just go to Settings, Unlockables. And over here, it will list all the features in WarLight and tell you. Right now, all mine are checked because, of course, I have everything unlocked. But if you don't have something unlocked, it will tell you what level. It will tell you how to unlock it. Do people gang up on you in games just because you're Fizzer? What about my Fizzer? Oh, because you are Fizzer. I think maybe sometimes people do. Yeah, it's hard for me to know exactly because if I get ganged up on, I don't know if it's because of who I am or some other reason. But yeah, I think people probably do. It's one of the downsides of owning your own game. Everyone wants to beat the creator. I was wondering, can you unban? He was banned for messaging. I didn't ban him. I don't know why he was banned. Is there any way the dashboard view can be reverted to the old one like it is on mobile? Everyone I talk to prefers the old view more. If you're not going to revert it back, are you planning on changing the view dashboard on mobile too? The current dashboard probably wouldn't work well on mobile because there's so much here. And mobile is a small screen. So I don't know if it would all fit. Currently, we're not planning on changing anything back. I'd be interested in hearing what it is about this page you don't like. Maybe we can improve it. Am I the only one who gets a dimmer view of the Open Games tab in the My Games when I press refresh? The scroll bar disappears, or is that Molly's user script? You talking about this Open Games page? Or are you talking about... I think you're talking about the old Flash one. I'm not sure what's causing that. I haven't used that page in years. Or a long time. Maybe not years. Could you have another tab labeled private games or something that would require a passcode? You could. I don't think that's the best way of handling it. Honestly, why don't you just share it by link? Because you have to share them the passcode somewhere anyway. So just share them the link to the game. I think that would be easier than requiring them to go to private games and then find the game and out of a big list. Any chance a lifetime membership will come back, even just for a weekend as a special offer kind of thing? I can pay you a beer. I can pay for your beer for a night then. Right now, we're not planning on bringing it back. Sorry. Maybe. There's always a chance maybe as a weekend offer. That would be kind of an interesting idea. It's not currently in the plan, though. Ladder should be about who plays better and not about who picks the worst template, so there's no competition left because good players leave. Oh my gosh, I'm at the bottom. How would you become a mod on deleted link? I don't know what that is. I don't know what deleted link is. How could you consider adding additional fields that would allow map territories to have contact with a non-adjacent territory? Similar to hopscotch, with the exception of not being able to physically move in and occupy the territory, but see it isn't, and inflict damage. That could be interesting. Fundamentally, I mean, I don't know if we want to take WarLight in that direction because it could create some really complex scenarios, and fundamentally, I think WarLight is supposed to be a simple game. But it definitely could be interesting. Is there any way to save player colors in a level? You're talking about when you make your own level, or are you talking about when you are playing a single player level or a multiplayer game and you change people's colors? Right now, if you change someone's color using the change color button, they always revert. I agree. I can see why some people would want to save those. So that's definitely a feature that we could add someday. You can add that to user voice if it's something you're interested in. How long have you guys been playing WarLight? Let's see. The first one is, are you alone? Like right now? Yeah, I'm the only person in my house. Why, are you like outside or something? Are you going to bust in the door? And the second one is, are you thinking about making another evolution for this game? Or is it a finished game? No, it's definitely not finished. We're always working on it. We definitely have a lot of plans. Do you have any real life friends that play WarLight? Sure. Most of my friends have tried it. How do you become a mod on WarLight? The best way to become a mod is to not ask to be a mod, because I find most people that want moderator powers are more likely to abuse it. No, maybe not most. I would say that, okay, more likely. Okay, that was a fair statement. They're more likely to abuse it. About the Google ads, yes, Google is good, and yes, they give a steady income. However, you get the same number of viewers for a long time. Google pays out less. Best is to find private advertisers. Also, you can add a little bit more spaces. There are a lot of places which could have advertising. Sure, I try not to be too spammy with it because ads are annoying. But there's certainly, yeah, I believe there are private advertisers that are better. Again, it's another thing I could spend time on. I already have a million things I could spend time on. The next season of Ladder will probably start probably later this week. What is your favorite game of all time? My favorite game of all time would have to be WarLight, of course. But other than WarLight, it's hard for me to pick one favorite game. Probably one of my favorite games have been the Civilization series. I've played those an insane number of hours. Back in the day, I used to play a lot of MMOs too, like Ultima Online, EverQuest, and World of Warcraft. But I've been staying away from those for a long time. Can we add a multi-attack limit? One unit being able to attack a limited amount of territories per turn. That would avoid one person having to stack and breaking every bonus on the map with it. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good idea. I think multi-attack is kind of problematic right now because it's unlimited. I think a limited multi-attack would be a lot better than the multi-attack we have now. Someday, I'd like to add something like that. Yeah, I'll get to the forum questions. I haven't exhausted chat yet. My favorite clan is, of course, the WarLight Staff clan. Do you have any other games? Do you play any other games such as or Civ? Yeah, I just said I play Civ. Where can I buy cheese on WarLight? You cannot buy cheese on WarLight, but I'm sure if you go to a shopping website, you'll find some. No, I haven't played Europa Universalis. Alright, I don't play CSGO. Let's talk about this thread. So I made this thread. Some people are asking questions in this thread because they couldn't be here today. Is there ever going to be a poll on the real-time and 2v2 ladders? I think, yes, I already answered that. When is the AI going to be finished up? Hopefully within a few months. Probably, I mean, it'll be finished up basically when the single-player overhaul is done. Because at that point, we don't want to continue changing the AI because it will screw up the balance of all the levels we make. Because we're going to be making a bunch of levels, and there'll be custom single-player levels. We don't want those to suddenly get harder because we made the AI better. Are there going to be more member-only perks? Yeah, I mean, if you look at the last several releases, pretty much every single one has added member-only features. We just added autopilot. Before that, we added commanders and bomb cards and things like that. Do you delete posts or do the mods delete posts? Both mods and I have the power to delete posts. And I just noticed this admin delete button. I was supposed to turn that off for the live stream. I didn't want that to appear on stream. Why didn't that work? Okay, that was supposed to be there. Pretend that's not there. Can you please get an AI? I already talked about that. What is the general activity on WarLight like? I mean, what has it been increasing, decreasing, or staying level? It has been increasing. WarLight's been growing pretty much steadily since it was created back in 2009. I already talked about lifetime membership. We had an achievement for killing a commander. I think that's a good idea for an achievement. Maybe someday. Why does the free membership option have to be purchased with a PayPal account? I don't see the merits of it being purchased through PayPal. Some people want to have a free trial, would like to not pay a membership fee every month, year. So if you don't want to, if you just want to do the trial, you can sign up for it and just cancel it right away. Like even if you just cancel it immediately after it starts, you'll never get charged and you'll still get your full month. But the reason it's set up what it is, it's basically the same as any trial you buy for anything else on the internet. It's like you sign up with your payment information, and then it's on you to cancel. Can you change the turn length notifier? Oh, we already talked about that. We already talked about that. Will there ever be an option for public tournament that does not cost the creator coins to make? So there is, only if there's no other. You can already do that. You can create free tournaments if there's no other tournaments in the open tournaments list. But someday we might have public tournaments again that don't cost coins to create. The problem is we had that before and it really didn't work because the ratio between people that want to create tournaments and the people that want to join tournaments is too high. And what I mean by that is too many tournaments got created, and there was just, we ended up with this huge list of hundreds of tournaments and none of them were starting, and it really just didn't work. Is there any chance to use an all levels page on the single player that shows all levels people has created? Might need search functions. Yes, something like that will be coming. I don't know exactly what it will look like yet, but this is part of the single player overhaul that we're going to have in a future update. When creating levels, can you please make it so you can use your own previously saved templates? That would be a nice feature. Possibly. I'll see how much that's really needed. I think over time that will become less necessary. I can understand why it's desired now, because some people made single player levels using templates and they don't want to remake them. But unfortunately, I mean, once you remake them, you basically never have to make them again. So I think going forward, this will become not very needed over time. But I can certainly understand why you need it now. Maybe some sort of temporary solution would be in order for that. What is your opinion about auto decline? We already talked about that. Yeah. Already talked about that. Are AI going to play gifts, and are you going to add more ladders? So AI currently doesn't play the gift card. That is something we could consider adding. I would consider it. I don't know. The AI is currently under development, so it is something I'll think about. Are you going to add more ladders? Maybe. I don't know exactly when or what it'll look like, but it's always a possibility. I mean, if as WarLight's community grows, I imagine ladders will grow with it. Don't change back to the old medium Earth 1v1 tablet with weight around them. I don't want to be beaten by someone who took more chances and got away with it. Okay. Can we change the original Small Earth using the tutorials to the Small Earth board map? It's much more colorful. Oh, I think that's the map that functionally is identical to Small Earth, and it's just more colorful. Yeah, that's a possibility. I definitely like the more colorful maps. I would need to look at it some more. One potential problem that can happen with the more colorful maps is it can look really bad if the player color matches the colors in the background. Like if you're blue and the ocean's blue, sometimes it can be really hard to see your own territories. So that's one thing we have to consider when making a change like that. But it's still possible to do. Could you have the option to list games by the time remaining? Oh, you talked about that. Is the map limit going to increase from 3.4 territories? I'm pretty sure our PCs can handle a big map. Well, maybe yours can, but certainly not everybody that plays WarLight on every device can handle maps of that size. So honestly, probably not. I mean, I think it's maps bigger than that are in low desire, are not very desirable anyway. And there's a lot of devices that can't handle them. Honestly, I think the limit was already too high. Like, I've spent months of work just trying to get the big maps to render on low-powered devices in a somewhat speedy way. It's not easy at all, and it's a whole lot of work to raise this number. Thanks again for creating WarLight and great work on it. You're welcome. Can you add an icon 4x5 for 4 starting picks of 5 armies, for example, so that we know when most settings of a game is offering? Yeah, I think that would be a good feature. Just like the little icons that are shown on the multiplayer dashboard to show the settings of a game. Create little things like that to show the settings. I think that's a good idea. Can you improve the scrolling in tournament brackets? Yeah, I know there's a big problem with big tournaments where it's really hard to navigate around them. Like if you're in this tournament and you want to see, one thing you can do is you can collapse these sections, but it's still really bad. Like if you want to see where does the winner of this game go, you have to like scroll forever. And it's really annoying. And finding like a single person in this list is really hard because you have to make it big enough to read the names. Because if you go out here, you obviously can't read anything. If you scroll in enough to read the names, then you can't see much at once. I know it's a problem. It's definitely something that needs to be improved. Could games played together disclose whether each game was played together as an opponent? Yeah, I think that's another good improvement. You should put all this stuff on user voice, so that when we basically like this kind of thing would get fixed when we overhaul tournaments. So that when we overhaul tournaments, we can improve that. When we overhaul create games played together, we'd improve that or that one. Oh, they're both. You have no common games for this player. Oh, yeah. The main reason it doesn't say it on their profile is because that's an expensive query. I mean, already this page, this see games played together page, is already. This is a good example. Like I've never played with Mike, so but you don't know that when you're on this page. You have to actually click the link. The main reason for that is because this page is actually a pretty expensive query because this has to go to the archive database, and there's millions of games it has to query. Especially if you have a lot of games, this page is really slow, and it used to even time out a lot. It's something actually I improved fairly recently. So that's the main reason it doesn't display that here, because it's an expensive query, and it would have to spend time loading that every single time you loaded any profile. In the past games list, could you add the date and time that they finished and separate them by days? And more importantly, sort them by the date finished, not the date started. So if you go to past games, there's a sort. So you can already choose the sort right here. You can choose between ended date or created date. So you can already do that. The multi-day game should not be moved past game until you've checked the summary screen. Yeah, so right now past games is a little bit weird. It's because the page is titled past games, but in reality it shows you all games. Like even Ninja Nick's Hex World, which is currently my turn, it's an active game, but it's under past games, even though it's not really a past game, it's an active game. That's something we need to improve, but one of the reasons that's complicated is because these filters are complicated, and past games really needs to be like the inverse of this filter, and so it's complicated. When you want to cancel an existing attack order, often drama taking forever with many clicks. Sometimes you have to click cancel, sometimes move the cursor to 0. It shouldn't be drama. There's two ways to do it. One way is to just click in the upper right corner. So if I do an attack, you can click on it here and then delete it there. The other way of doing it is to set the armies to 0. So if you just drag this to 0 and hit OK, it's gone. I'm not sure what you mean when you say it's often a drama taking forever with many clicks. Sometimes you have to click cancel. So if you haven't issued the attack yet, like here, then you click cancel. But if you've already made the attack, like here, I've already made the attack, then you have to drag the armies to 0. That's basically the way it works. I don't know if that clears it up for you. Can clans expect more features for games and communication? Hopefully someday. Invitation tab for clans. Yeah, I think that's a good feature. Send mail to all clan members. Not everyone uses the clan forum. There's no alert. I think adding this alert for clan forum would be a better way of doing it than send mail. If the clan forum was more visible, I don't think you need to send mail. You could just post it on the forum. Can we get a seasonal ladder with rated random sometime soon, please? Maybe. I don't know. WarLight all defaults to no luck now, so weighted random is kind of a relic of the past in some ways. When will we get ladder polls? Yeah, we already talked about that. We fixed the player AI issue from not automatically taking turn on games. That should be fixed. If it's not, please use the report a bug page and Give me a link to the game where it's happening. If we can see some sort of clan chat feature, sure, we already talked about that. Um, I live in Washington State. I already talked about that. How am I? I am great. How are you? What part of WarLight has exceeded your expectations? Oh, everything has exceeded my expectations. My expectations when I first started WarLight were to just play a few games with my friends and quit. So the number of players, all the maps, everything. Which part of WarLight has been more difficult or not been as successful as you expected? I don't know. I mean, more difficult. There's certainly been a lot of parts that have been difficult. I talked about all the different platforms it supports. The iOS and Android apps have been really successful. Can increase the number of players in a game so that we can have chat with our whole clan. Well, I think you're confusing two different things because games aren't meant to be used as chat, really. So I think a better way of handling this is to have an actual chat room or something, so you don't have to use games for chat. We already talked about time remaining. Is there technically any way to show if someone is using alt? I mean, there might be ways to tell, yeah, but we probably won't show it publicly. Can we have more of a say in which games are included in the ladders? Yeah, we're doing polls soon. Can you add a drunkenness factor to the 1v1 ladder statistics? I don't know what that would look like. Can you please dock the chat screen within the game screen? Yeah, it's funny. I actually originally wanted to do that when I was first writing WarLight, but I never got it done correctly. Toggling back and forth is a pain, yeah. It'd be nice to see that maybe in a new version. There used to be chat under community ages ago. There was. It actually broke when WarLight switched to HTTPS. So back in the day, WarLight used to use just plain old unencrypted HTTP. And as a prerequisite to coin games, they actually moved the entire site to HTTPS. And unfortunately, that broke the chat system, and I didn't know how to fix it. Nobody used it anyway, so I just removed it. We'll definitely have chat. I want chat to be more integrated with the game. Like, that was just an IRC widget, basically. If you can give an option for players to create sublists, private chats, facilitate communication, sure. I mean, I want to facilitate communication more. All that stuff is good features. There are a lot of chat games. Yeah, I know. People use games as chat. What do you think? Create a camouflage card. When a player uses it, he can turn your territory like a heavy fog or something. I don't know how that would work. If somebody changes your territory to heavy fog, you can't see your own territory? What does that mean? You can't use the armies that are on it anymore? Because if you can't use the armies that they camouflaged, or maybe you can use that. Could you deploy to those territories? If you can't see the territory, how would you deploy to it? I don't know exactly how that would work. I mean, you say the player can use it to use surprise attacks, but if somebody they're going to obviously see if you play a camouflage card somewhere in your territories, and they'll probably know you're going to be doing an attack there. I don't know. I'm not sure how that would work. It's an interesting idea. We'd have to flesh out all the cases and see exactly how it works. Can you advertise the Facebook page for WarLight and then tell people I want to send them some interesting games or amazing plays and I can link on the Facebook page? Sure. WarLight has a Facebook page. Go to Facebook, type in WarLight, you'll find it. Can I be invited to the WarLight staff clan? Oh, that's only for staff. You're not on the payroll yet. When will the ladder polls going to happen? We already talked about that. Is there any possibility to choose which bot you want to play in the single-player custom game? The big problem with that, so the Wonderwaff and Cowzow bots don't really work well. They still have a lot of bugs, and they don't support all settings. So they wouldn't really be appropriate to use in single-player. That leaves only the 1.0 and 2.0 as an option. And honestly, I think long-term, hopefully no one will ever want to play against 1.0 again because it's basically inferior in every way to 2.0, except that maybe it's faster, but hopefully we'll work on fixing the speed thing. So I hopefully that won't be needed anytime soon, but someday maybe if we have lots of AIs, I could see a case for that. Or maybe if Wonderwaff or worked really well and was stable, then I could see more of a case for this. But under the current AIs, I don't think it's really needed. What do you think about including something like a daily login rewards and daily single-player challenges with leaderboards? Sure, I think that would be a cool thing. Could happen someday. I'm not familiar with that map. If any of these questions have already been answered, can you give me a link? It is my main job. Is anybody else working besides Mercer? Nope. Do you have a business plan, or is the money side of WarLight more of a trial and error concept? Yeah, we're just experimenting. I view it like a startup. We're experimenting with different things and seeing what works. I heard it is possible to examine whether someone is an alt. No, I don't think that tool will ever become publicly usable. Do you plan on adding features to the user script for a regular site? I think it would be a nice thing to do. Yeah, someday. I mean, basically, it's on a feature-by-feature basis. If there's a feature in there that people want and makes sense to add for everybody, then sure. Have you ever thought about giving experience points for joining the real-time ladder? Well, you get points for winning games on the real-time ladder. That's basically the way it's structured. And I think you get a lot of points for each real-time ladder game win, as opposed to like the 1v1 ladder, 2v2 and 3v3 and seasonal, where you only get points based on your rank. And points from the games, I think, are just normal, or maybe they're just slightly higher. In real-time ladder, they're extra high to account for the fact that you don't get points for your rank. But I don't know what you mean by giving points just for joining. Like, I don't think you should get points for joining. You should get points for winning. Do the players that donated their AIs receive a reward? Maybe you can ask them. Can you make the membership gift sign stop moving? It's trying to the way to make it stop moving is to click on it and sign up for the trial. It doesn't cost anything. And once you do that, it won't move anymore. Will there ever be a better background color than copious amounts of black? Could be. Someday we might do a redesign. Are you ever considering making the AI for the forums? Yeah, no. I don't know what that means. Could we have chat games with more than 40 players? Oh, I already talked about that. Are you going to make custom scenario, making it easier on mobile, allowing folk to change entire bonus in the slot? Probably eventually, yeah. I don't know when, but yes. I really don't understand his logic on AI boots on ladders. He said the ladder is a test of skill, and the biggest stage should be a measure of skill. Wow, I'm getting replies in the forum from earlier, from things I said in the stream. That doesn't make any sense. This is supposed to be for people that couldn't make it to the stream. Is there any way you can get Mercer in the future? Ask me anything. Sure. I'll ask him. Possible to make several variants of a map. Copy one's map family. So you can actually do that using the API. If you go to warlight.net/API, there's this set map details API. This requires a little programming skill, but it can be done. You can actually set all the territory names, all the center points, the connections, and the bonuses and distribution modes. So you could actually read it out of one map and write it into another. It can be done. But in general, I advise you to be a little bit careful doing that, because we don't really want to spam a whole bunch of similar maps into the map system. It would be better if you can to make as few variants as possible. But if they're different enough, then I could see it being okay. Let's see, is there anything in here? Some players think you actively delete multi-day chat lobbies. Some even think that you have a detector which deletes games with chat in the title after a few days. No, I don't. None of that should happen. The only person that can delete games are the game creator and the abandoned game system. So the game creator can delete it at any time if it's in the lobby. So if you're seeing games get deleted that are after only a few days, that means the game creator deleted it. He's the only person that could. If if it's existed for a long time, it will eventually get deleted by the abandoned game system. So after 101 days, WarLight says, okay, that game's, oops, why did it edit? It says that game is considered abandoned, and then it will actually start deleting the game. It actually emails the game creator and tells them it's going to delete it. So that will eventually happen if it's an old game. If it's a new game, it gets deleted. It was done by the creator. How about giving the possibility to change a single territory settings with color codes? A lot of mod maps could probably be made with this. I don't know what that means. How about a microeconomics mode, where you can also change one territory's properties in the game by trading your income for these changes? That sounds interesting. It sounds like there's a lot of things you could do there. I'm not sure I completely follow exactly what that would be like. This is the kind of thing where really you need to like try it out and like play some test games with it and see what it's like. Please look into fixing map Middle Earth Big, the only map that gives problems when trying to start a custom game. I'm not sure what the problem you're running into with it, but if you're running into a bug, if it's a bug in the map, you should report to the person that made the map. If you think it's a bug in the WarLight engine itself, you can go to report bug and report it to me. Yeah, I don't want to sell WarLight. I'll sell you a membership. Is that what you want to buy? I think a really useful tool would be to save a game state from a multiplayer game and be able to replay it. Would that be doable? So you can kind of do that now using custom scenarios. So if you go into a custom scenario, you can actually recreate a game state however you want. But I agree, it's not exactly what you're asking for, because you'd have to do it manually for one thing. You'd have to go in here and set every territory to how you want it to start. Plus, you can't always give the players exactly what cards they had. But yeah, I think that would be kind of cool. I can definitely see cases where somebody's saying like, "Oh, I've seen cases before where someone says that they couldn't win from a particular position," and I think, man, I think you can win from that position. That's doable, and I'd want to like create the game at that point in time, and maybe even flip the positions, like put them in the position I was in, I'm in the position they're in, and show them that yes, you can win. But yeah, I think that'd be a cool feature. You can vote for it on user voice if you want it. Yeah, you can make a map programmatically. Who ate my apple? You're right. I'm looking around and I don't see an apple anywhere. That's spooky. When will you revamp the clan system? Currently, we're working on single player, so I have no idea. Sorry. I know there's a lot of parts of WarLight that aren't getting attention, but that's just the nature of the game. What are you going to work on after single player? It's too early, really, to answer that question. After single player is done, we need to sit down and figure it out. I won a game 9 hours ago. My rating has only went down. What ladder are you talking about? It can be fun, but it's absolutely not suiting for a ladder. Wow, it's been 2.5 hours. What are those tournaments? Several day long games and stuff that I've never seen before, and if I can join them? I'm not sure what tournaments you're talking about. These tournaments? If you go to the tournaments tab, you should see them. Can we have next season be Turkey local deployments with commanders? Okay, since you asked for it. Turkey local deployments and commanders. All right. Defensive AI ideas now in user voice. It sounds like you're playing from an app device. Did you think? Did you think about making another game? I mean, like a PC CD or something big. A PC CD, like on CD-ROM. No, at this point, I definitely have ideas for other games I'd like to make. A lot of stuff that is nothing like WarLight at all. I even have some ideas that I think would be really popular, but in the end, when I really sit down and think about it, I think WarLight is where I want to continue my focus. I'm not going to be switching to any other game. No, I'm not married, unless you consider me married to WarLight, in which case, yes, I'm happily married. Can you change the way clans are displayed in the clan page? It's a shame that mass clans are ranked first because they have more points. Maybe use some kind of formula that makes the rank based on ladder ratings or something. Yeah, I think it would be cool to have a clan ranking system, an actual ranking system. Because right now, I don't consider this a ranking system. The way this is ordered right now is just by total number of points by all players combined. And basically the reason we sort it like that is just so that the clans you're more likely to run into are listed near the top. Because these are probably, if you just go out and play WarLight, these are probably most of the clans you'll run into because they're the most active. They have the most people that have the most points, therefore they've had the most people that are the most active. Because points is fundamentally a measure of activity. So I think it'd be really cool to have like a clan, a way to make clans more competitive with each other, some kind of ranking system. Maybe not ladder rankings. I mean, ladder rankings is certainly one way of doing it, but I would like to see a whole system where you can do like clan wars and stuff, and then have the ranking based on that. Someday, I'd like to do that. Can we have more popular templates from previous season replayed on the seasonal ladder? Maybe. Well, I'm going to be doing ladder votes, so we can vote for it. If you haven't had been answered yet, this is a great time to do that. Middle Earth Big Map needs to be fixed. It won't start a game. I don't know why. Do you have a successor yet? No, I don't. I've been asked many times about whether you could make a map with a program, and everyone told me no, you couldn't. All right, I think I'm going to be getting close to signing off here. So if you have any final questions, you should ask it now. You could sell your ideas if they are good enough to some of the big game makers, couldn't you? I don't think ideas really go for much, to be honest. Most big game makers are already overflowing with ideas. They have like hundreds of their own, hundreds of times more ideas than they could ever implement. I've never heard of anyone actually selling an idea successfully. Ideas are the easy part, really. Implementation and execution are the hard parts. That's what you can sell. Nobody wants to buy ideas, I don't think. Why this name? I mean, Duck or Kitty would have been much more appropriate, no? You asking my name, Fizzer? That's just a modification of my real life name. Don't copy that floppy. I'll floppy your copy. Total number of points divided by clan members would be a very easy improvement for clan ranking. The problem with that is if there's one person that is a really high number, it's a really high level, they're just going to be at the top. And it's going to end up being really bad. I mean, if Al-Hazi wants to make a clan by himself, no one will ever be able to top him. And there'd be no reason for him to ever invite anyone else. Or if he did invite anyone else, unless they're in the top list, they're going to fall. So I don't know. I don't think that's the best solution. It gives too much power to small clans. And then they'll never be able to invite anyone without losing their position. Oh yeah, giveaways. Last time I did giveaways, I forgot. I even intended to do that. All right. Everyone that's been here, and everyone that's talked in the last hour, I think that's what this thing is set to. Yeah, 60 minutes. Everyone that's talked in the last hour has the chance of winning something. So if you want to be included, say something now. Can you make maps in Photoshop? No. Well, WarLight maps use a vector format, so anything you want to, it has to be an SVG file. Anything you can export to SVG can be used to make maps. And I'm pretty sure Photoshop cannot export to SVG, although maybe it can. They do have some vector modes in Photoshop, but Photoshop is mostly a pixel-based format, whereas Adobe has another product called Illustrator that I think would be better for making maps. Can you please let us open chat from a game without opening the game, please? Yeah, I can understand the need for that, because sometimes it can take a long time to open the game. Possibly someday, maybe if we do a chat overhaul, we can do something like that. If you die before you name a successor, what happens to WarLight? If I'm not able to continue WarLight, I'll probably just open source the whole thing, and maybe somebody else can take it over. I'll use some sort of permissive license, like the Apache license or something, so that anyone can do it. You said we have a ladder vote when Awesome Guy spoke about NXT's lives. The template not set yet? I'd be so happy. There will be a vote, yeah. If you had to eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Maybe lasagna. Okay, giveaway. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. WarLight MSF. Wow. Congratulations. You win 500 WarLight coins. All right, let's see. Last questions. Diplomacy games are the major part of the game. Alliances too. There should be a way to group specific players in a game. I agree. I think that would be really cool. Maybe if we do a chat system overhaul, we can like have custom rooms or something like that. On phone, it's really difficult to clone chans. You have to go to the browser and click on clans. You can't do it through the app. Can you change that? Yeah, you're right. The website is not very mobile friendly. And maybe someday we'll integrate clans with the app. I think that would be a good thing to add. But I think there's a lot of other higher priority things we can do to add to the app first, like tournaments and forums and a lot more community features. Clans is just one. In the plateau game Diplomacy, territories have a maximum number of armies that one territory can support the defense capability of another. That makes diplomacy games much more intense and risky. You need to capture another player to support or attack an enemy with a common border. Yeah, I play another board game that has something like that called Game of Thrones. The Game of Thrones board game has a feature kind of like that. I think that's a cool feature. You could do something like that in the future. It's true you were David Copperfield's best student. I mean, you can make posts that people disappear without a trace. Yes, absolutely. All right. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining me. It's been almost 3 hours now. I'm going to be signing off. I hope you all enjoy it. I'm going to be posting the video later on YouTube. And thanks for all the questions. And I'm glad you all guys enjoy WarLight and you could be here and join me today. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks.